Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rise of Drekis Chapter 5. And let us welcome our returning champion, Jeff, TrumpSC. How are you doing, buddy?
Am I a champion or a loser? Man, it was good to see that intro again. Haven't seen it since the last time I died.
Yeah, well, you won't die this time, right? You just live forever and ever and ever.
I think it would be hard imagining dying in this session, but from what I hear, not impossible?
Nothing's impossible, you know?
Sure.
That's true. We could just ask a lot of questions and take our time real slowly and not get into any combat, or we could skip through everything and just get eaten by a dragon right away. We'll find out.
Good. I tried that thing the last time. It didn't work.
Well, it made for a great story and some lovely adventures to come one day, maybe? I don't know. We'll find out.
Sure, this character will fare much better than that one with the silly +5 weapon and whatnot.
Yeah. That's just... Having a +5 mace is just so much power. It inspires too much confidence, I think.
It does. I was decked out. Full plate. Holy Avenger. Invincible. Well, time to be a frail wizard. Alone?
Yeah. Almost alone. You've got Vordren with you.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes. And speaking of frail wizards and Vordren, the first thing we need to do before we really even get into our session here is we need to level up Vincent. And before we even level up Vincent, just a quick recap. Vincent is a character from Rise of Drekis Chapter 3 with a couple other characters. They did some great things. They saved an area. Lovely stuff happened, and because of his performance over there, he's being pulled for this mission, and we'll talk more about that later. But if you want to see Vincent's original campaign, it's Rise of Drekis Chapter 2? 3? 2.
3? It's 2.
It's one of the early ones, yeah. We should know these things. We both played in it.
Yes. It's 2.
It's 2, yeah. Totes. So let's take a look at our character sheet for Vincent, and let's level him up because he's going to get some hit points and he's going to get some spells.
Yes, I was looking up these level 3 spells. Holy cow, they are crazy. They're so powerful.
Yeah, they're a little good. And we're also going to need to level up Vordren. So, but let's start with Vincent. You were going from level 4 to level 5. And so we need hit points, and we're going to need a non-weapon proficiency, and then we're going to need some spells.
Okay. Cool.
You don't normally get a non-weapon proficiency at level 5, but you spent like a year doing administrative stuff and working on things. So I figured you've probably picked up a new skill in the last year.
Awesome. So shall I kick things off with a 1d6?
Please do.
All right. This number doesn't really matter since Vincent doesn't get hit.
Right?
But I'll cross my fingers for high anyways. Nice. 4.
Right. So that will bring you to 18 hit points. Lovely.
Nice.
And do you have any idea, you don't have to take a non-weapon, of what you might want for a new skill?
Could you give me the link again for that?
Of course.
Handy sheet. Let me remind myself of what I've got.
So that
There's
is the
bound to have been some ones that I was like, oh, if I only had one more, I would totally take that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, as a reminder, right now I've got anatomy, healing, and herbalism as the last party's healer, and calligraphy, cartography for being a mapper, and bureaucracy for handling a bunch of administration.
You know, the characters who take bureaucracy are the real winners in this campaign.
They're the ones that stay alive.
Uh-huh. People who take blind fighting or swimming, one of those ridiculous skills that really puts you in the danger of things, it only means you're more likely to die, you know? I mean, navigating a growing empire is really the most dangerous thing out there. Being able to do that successfully, it's It's a real skill.
It is. Wow. You mentioned it's like a year of administrating, right? Hey, look, administration. I probably gained proficiency in that.
That's amazing.
I'm quite the character now with administration and bureaucracy.
Wow. Okay.
What a combination.
Let's do it. Let's add administration. Is it intelligence? And you get a +1 to your base from it. For those who want to know, a character with this proficiency is skilled in the management and accounting of enterprises ranging from the agriculture of an entire province to the vineyards of a single small monastery. He knows how to account for money, plan work, and supervise the collection of taxes and the sale of goods.
Man, that is definitely a set of skills that won't get me killed on the field.
All right. And next up is our spells. Now, I've DM'd you a list of possible spells. You've already filled up all your first and second level spells that you can know, so it's just third level. And while technically you can learn up to 9 total, I think at this point in your career, you would have only picked up 4. Because we might use Vincent for another campaign if he survives. And I'd like you to have at that point you would be level 6, and it would be nice to get some new spells going into that campaign. So you're not just playing a character who doesn't get any growth.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, available for
As
you.
a bit of a background, Vincent's specialty is alteration. So thanks for noting a number of cool alteration spells out there. I want all 4 of those. But I also want some non-alteration. So I guess we'll start off with the most important one. As an administrator, bureaucrat, and mapper, we definitely need secret page.
Oh my god.
That's the first pick.
That's like the second most useless spell on this spell list, but I love that you're going for it.
All right. So we get a 75% chance of learning this, right?
Yeah, so 75 or lower on a D100.
All right, important roll. Let's see if I get secret page. I'm sure it'll come up. Yes, great success.
For those of you who want to know, when you cast Secret Page, the spell alters the actual contents of a page, so they appear to be something entirely different. Plus, a map
can ship the Empire sensitive information, and it can just look like a grocery list.
Yes.
Incredible.
Wow. This is a real power move here. Okay. Second spell.
All right, we definitely, so as part of the alteration package of Vincent, he's basically here to work with teammates and to support them. So really fitting on that would be, there's 2 spells that are fitting here, and I guess I'll take a stab at both of them. Let's go for haste next.
There we go.
Perfect. And while I'm
Excellent.
buffing people, I also want to hold down others, so let's go for hold person.
Fantastic. That is a success.
75, just success. Great.
Okay. And
then we gotta branch out to some that aren't alteration. I think suggestion is quite powerful.
Now it's only a 45% chance to learn suggestion since it's not an alteration spell.
All right, fingers crossed on this one. This one's secretly the one I'm hoping to learn the most.
Ooh.
Oh, not quite. Let's see, what else do we got here? Bum, bum, bum. Can you tell me about clairvoyance?
Yes, I can tell you about clairvoyance. So there are there's 3 versions. Which version do we want to use? We're going to use the one that has to do with maps. So to cast clairvoyance, you need like a clear space and you need a clean mat to be put all the stuff down, and you need a crystal ball, which doesn't have to be a magic one, just like a crystalline ball, and you place on top of the map. And a previously seen and well-known location held in the mind while the spell is cast. As long as the caster closes their eyes and keeps their hands on the ball and maintains concentration on the spell, their spirit is... Wait, this is not a map. I'm sorry, there's a typo here. All right. A space needs to be clear, a clean mat put down, and the crystal ball placed on top of it, and a previously seen and well-known location held in your mind while you cast the spell. As long as you close your eyes and keep your hands on the crystal ball and maintain concentration on your spell, your spirit gets projected through the ball and to the location in mind, and then you can see as if you were standing on the ground in that place. So you can like look up and look down and look around, but you can't walk around. If the area is magically dark, then you can only see darkness. But if it's naturally dark, you can see like 10 feet around where the crystal, where your position is. Otherwise, you can see to the effects of your normal vision and prevailing light conditions.
Okay, not as useful as I thought, since you had been there already.
Right. Now, anyone in the room with you can look into the crystal ball and also see what you're seeing. So this allows, if you've got companions with you, you can use this spell and everyone can see the area.
All right. This one sounds up my alley. Tell me about plagiarize.
This is one of my ultra powerful custom spells.
Oh.
By which I mean one of these like random spells that wizards should have that the books never included. By touching a scroll, map, or any other type of page and softly speaking the command word, the wizard creates an exact duplicate of the pages touched.
Obviously. All right, here we go. 45% chance.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, missed it. All right, let's keep going down this list. Is clairaudience? Tell me about clairaudience.
So you concentrate on some location that's known, like it could be the other side of the store, or it could be like a place that you're familiar with, but you couldn't just say like wherever John is. You've got to have like a location in mind. But then like clairvoyance, you can just hear anything that's happening in that place, and a place familiar to the spellcaster or an obvious one.
Okay.
So, if there was if there's like a forest in front of you and you can't really see into the forest, you could like throw the clairaudience just beyond the wall of foliage, and then you could hear what's happening behind the wall of foliage or something.
All right. Would I be able to communicate with the monsters summoned by monster summoning one?
Yes. I think so. The monsters appear within the spell range as desired by the wizard. They attack the spell user's opponents to the best of their ability, either until he commands the attacks to cease. They don't check morale, so they fight to the death. If there are no opponents that exist to fight, then the summoned monsters can... if the wizard can communicate with them. So yeah, you would have to be able to speak their language in order to tell them what to do, unfortunately.
Okay. Let's see, you described this creeping shadow as the shadow extends. Just how far does it extend?
Let's see. Your shadow stretches away from your body at a rate of 15 yards per round, and it lasts for a number of rounds equal to your level. So it keeps stretching over the 5 rounds.
Okay, so up to, doing some quick math, 180 feet, huh?
Yeah, its maximum range is 10 times your level in yards, so it could go up to 50 yards, 150 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, you just reach it a little bit earlier.
Interesting. That's kind of a clairaudience like. Interesting.
Yeah, it moves as an ordinary shadow along floors and up walls. You can maneuver it in any manner feasible to place the shadow wherever you desire. A caster might position his shadow over a high wall on a tower in order to spy on the tower's occupants. Obviously, it's a shadow, so it makes no sound and is 90% undetectable unless there's like bright light all around, and then people are like, hey, where's the shadow coming from?
Okay.
Yeah.
As a Shikamaru enjoyer, I will go for this one. Let's attempt to learn Lorlo Vime's Creeping Shadow.
That's it.
Oh, there we go.
That's it. Okay. And as a 5th level wizard, you can cast 4 first, 2 second, and 1 third level spell, but you also do an additional 1 of your level of your specialty, right? So you can do 4 first level spells of any kind, and then 1 transmutation spell, and 2 second level spells of any kind, and 1 transmutation spell.
Sweet.
Okay. It's going to quickly alphabetize these. Excellent. Done. And I think that's it for Vincent. So let's level up Vordrin. He is now 3rd level, so he gets an additional 1d10 hit points.
All right. This is the
plus his
HP roll
con.
that matters.
Yeah, plus his con, so d10 plus 3 hit points.
All right. 1d10 plus 3. Let's go. Nice average.
Ooh. Oh, his character sheet's being funky. Let's just refresh that page. 8 is the roll. Very good. That brings him to 29 hit points. He gets another +1 to hit. And at level 3, he can learn to use a new weapon. Now, he's already specialized in arming sword. So he can't get any better. He could save his weapon proficiency and then apply it to get better, but that would take another 2 levels. Or he could just learn how to use, something useful. He's already got longbow as well.
Can he put it off until maybe someday he gets a cool weapon and then learn off that?
Totally.
All right, he'll put it off.
Excellent. And then he's going to get a couple of saving throw improvements. 13, 15, 14, 16, 16. And everything else is perfect. Good job, Vordrin. Okay. So
Chad is telling us to look at the component cost of the shadow spell.
A light source and a small obsidian statuette of the caster worth 1,000 GP? That sounds a little bit high.
Maybe a typo, adding an extra 0? Who knows?
Yeah, let's take a look over here.
But if I work hard enough in administration, maybe I can raise 1,000 gold to cast the spell once.
Oh. It is not a typo, unless the book has a typo. To cast a spell, light source of at least the brightness of a candle must be present. It's 1,000 GP obsidian statue. Well, there is a lot of obsidian available here in the place that you're going because it is a volcanic island and obsidian comes from volcanoes. So maybe part of our quest will be you getting a chunk. Now, well, if there's obsidian somewhere, the carving would be the cost. 1,000 GP is a lot. It's not impossible that Vincent has spent all of his money that he's gained from the Empire to get himself this statue. That sounds reasonable to me.
All right.
I think so. Yeah. We'll just say you've got the 1. Don't break it.
That's very good.
Okay.
We'll use that at the critical moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this consumed in the casting? Some components are, some aren't. I have a hard time imagining a 3rd level spell has a consumable component of 1,000 GP.
Hey, my Google search came up with your Reddit, Hardcore Heroes, episode 20. Let's search for where this came up. What is Lorlo Viren's creeping shadow good for? It seems terrible and needs a material component of 1,000 GP. Blah blah blah. Let's see. Did you respond to this? No, but the community noticed 8 years ago.
Well, yeah, they by default say unless specified otherwise, material components are consumed. But 1,000 GP to cast a single spell is pretty crazy. Granted, Clairaudience has a consumed component that costs like 200 GP. Maybe. 100 GP. 1,000. I don't know how I feel about charging someone 1,000 gold for one spell cast. I think we're gonna say it is not consumed.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's pick up. There's no more bureaucracy or administration to do here. Let's pick up our primary storyline. Now, Vincent, you've done a great job over on the island of Ethos at Outpost Santa Barbara, helping bring, peace to the savages, to resettle the area, to move the town around a little bit and get everything going well. One day, a boat arrives with a message that you've been recalled back to the heart of the Empire because they've got work for you, a new job. And you come on back, and your boss, your manager, the person who is in charge of a lot of these expeditions is a man named Lord Richard mMarshall. And he's the one that introduced you to Elaine. He's the one that sent you on the previous job, and he calls you back and brings you into his nice, comfortable, small office in a warehouse in the capital city of Wicthron Rarenta. And after you've arrived and had some, time to rest and recover from your boat voyage, and you get to meet him in his office. Vordren, I guess, was probably with you, the strong, silent type that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Richard mMarshall will point to the table across from you, ask you to sit down, and say, Vincent, my good friend, it's so nice to see you again.
Lord Richard mMarshall. It's been quite some time. But good to be back in the capital.
Well, it's always nice to have you here, but I'm afraid I haven't called you back just for tea. Not quite yet. We have a problem that needs a delicate hand, and I can think of no finer person in this empire to handle this very delicate situation than yourself.
Oh, good. As long as it doesn't involve the undead, then I'm sure I'll be fine.
I can't imagine why it would.
Phew.
So, a few months ago, this ship arrived in the harbor at Coxport. And it didn't stop at any of the piers. It just, bam, ran itself aground right away. And as the harbor patrol is going to go over and, yell at the guy, the pilot for crashing his boat, he steps off this little ship, snaps his fingers, speaks a word, and the boat just folds itself into like a little briefcase-looking thing. The rest of the guards are just standing around, baffled, because guards, as good as they may be, don't know much about magic. And this character with this case in hand just heads over to the harbor master's office. And once he's inside, in an Akuban accent, might I say, he makes a declaration that the Spice Isles are declaring their independence from Drekis. And that if a single soldier sets foot on any of the islands, that the inhabitants of that island will burn the island to the ground. Now, you know as well as I do that the Spice Islands are known for their exotic spices. Obvious name. And rebuilding these farms, bit of a problem. Takes years for a clove tree to begin producing cloves again. Takes ages to get that cinnamon bark up and running. It's a mess. And they're holding all of the Spice Islands hostage, and we don't really know exactly this man's control over these things, but the threat is to destroy the industrial agricultural base of the Spice Islands. If a soldier, you're not a soldier, sets foot upon the shore. And should Drekis, our great empire, who we lovingly serve, attempt to reconquer Embershore, which is, I don't know if you know the Spice Islands very well. You do work in mapping, so maybe. It's the largest town in the Spice Isles, Volutin. If anyone attempts to retake it, then this wizard, actually I think he's a warlock, will summon, I don't believe this 100%, but summon Brimstone Fire Incarnate, a red dragon, from his volcanic depths to wash away the invaders in a sea of fire. And then he hands a document that says pretty much exactly this to the harbor master, heads back to the boat, heads back to the sea, snaps his finger, his briefcase unfolds into a boat, he hops into it, and then just sails away. So obviously he's got a magic boat, which...
And why didn't you detain him? That sounded like the perfect opportunity to do so.
Tell me about it. The soldiers in the area were in such shock and surprise that they just, I don't think anyone wanted to approach a spellcaster with the power to make boats appear and unappear. I think I would like to believe I was brave enough to at least try to stop the man, but they just kind of stood there, spears in hand, looking dumbfounded. He was only in town for 15 minutes. So there wasn't time to rally knights or truly...
What a shame. If only I were there. I had just learned the perfect spell to stop him.
What's that?
Oh, a little something that holds a person still. Stops them right in their tracks.
Good help is hard to find, but that's why I've called you back, because you seem like the right person to handle this very delicate situation. You're not a soldier. You work for the Empire. You're familiar with magic, but you're a good negotiator, a smooth talker. You handled everything up in ethos really well. Yeah.
Thank you. You're too kind. Yes, of course I would do this for the Empire.
Great. Now, a couple of deets here. As I'm sure you know, the Empress has decreed that all magic items of moderate or greater strength are property of the Empire. And I think a magic boat that folds up on itself is, we could say, moderate item. And since it's based in Embershore, that is technically property of the Empire, which means it's stolen or at the very least, found and not handed over. So we need the boat, magic folding boat. This warlock, he says he speaks with this dragon. Historical document.
It's a bluff, surely.
Historical documentation does say that there is a dragon trapped under that island, and there was an incident a few years back, 10 years ago or so, where that island...
The best lies have an element of truth.
That's what I'm thinking. The island disappeared and then it reappeared. There's a little bit of something going on. Everyone was too distracted to worry about it too much. But if the warlock could summon the dragon from underneath the volcano, he would have by now, right? You don't just have dragon summoning and then not use it. So it sounds pretty ridiculous to me. We want the warlock for questioning. And if we can't get him for questioning, he's dangerous enough that he should be neutralized. So capture him, end the revolts on the Spice Islands, by whatever means necessary. I assume diplomacy. And yeah. Oh, also, he's got that Akuban accent. We think this might be a plant. We think this might be the asymmetrical warfare that the Akubans are so fond of, trying to cause rebellions without actually being the ones to do it. So maybe this isn't a Akuban agent. If they're involved, we need to know this cause for war. We don't got time to mess around with these people. So figure out how it is that they're involved. And if there's any other magical items lying around, of course, bring that back. They'll need to be registered. Yeah.
Right. Just how bad has it gotten over there? Is this the first word you've received of the Spice Island rebellion?
There'd been some talk that the islanders hadn't been pretty, how do we say, with new administrations, there's always chafing among the lower classes. It's just a normal part of everyday society. So there had been some chafing, but this is a pretty rapid escalation, you know?
Mm-hmm. Did the warlock overthrow the previous government?
Well, the central government for the Spice Islands is over in Outlast. It's a town on the main shore over here.
Mm-hmm.
So that government hasn't been overthrown, and feudalism. They deal with all of the Spice Island things, and unless there's a problem large enough to reach our attention, they just handle everything. So we didn't really get to hear if there were any problems until this warlock shows up and starts making ultimatums, and we're bringing in the Tulwick family from Outlast to properly question them about these things. But it's worth noting that this warlock, he wrote his name. It's I don't even know how to pronounce this. Idria, something like that. He didn't go to Outlast. He came, towards Cocksport, towards the closer, larger city. So, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
What do you need to make this happen? We can, of course, get you a small boat that can take you to any of the islands and sort of wait off in the wings until you need it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Do you have a recommendation on where to start on the Spice Islands? Yeah.
Well, Embershore and Volutin is the center of everything, and that's where that volcano is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if maybe checking out some of the smaller outlying islands and see if this threat of burning them to the ground is present. Maybe there's people there that are working with the warlock. Maybe it's all a big bluff. I would start with the at least a couple of the outlying islands and try and figure out get the lay of the land before arriving. It's always nice to know what's happening before you just jump into the middle of things.
That's true. So all of those smaller islands, they have people and are growing spices.
Usually really small settlements, just a couple of villages on each one, maybe 1,000 people total on each island, including children and elderly, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You could also start by heading all the way out to Outlast and seeing if the Tulwick family out there has any extra information. You could go to Cocksport and talk with the harbor master who actually saw this guy in person. You could go all the way to Pikes Point, Akuban territory, and poke around over there. Or you could head straight to Volutin. Just skip all of the in-between stuff.
All right. I don't ask this. I just, as a mapper, I probably have a good idea of where all these locations are.
Mm-hmm.
what is the closest place to where we are right now?
So you are down just off the edge of the map over here. So you would be leaving from Kershwick, and then this would be the very first island right here.
Okay. Is the usual method of travel from Cogsport to Outlast by boat along the shore?
Yeah.
And how long a trip is that? Would that be?
Let's see. Ooh, so my scale is a little off here. So let's call it 130 miles, and you can probably do, depending on the weather and the rowers, it's probably like a 3 or 4 day boat journey, conditions permitting.
Okay, that's not too bad. From Outlast to Cuban territory over there to Pikes Point, is travel by boat common across those two cities?
Not so much anymore. There's a little bit. Cuba is a long-standing rival. That's sort of like it's a good. Sort of like the Persians and the Byzantines, or the Sassanids and the Persians, or the Carthaginians and the Romans. Sort of, a great power, bad blood between you, lots of long-term sort of back and forth scuffles. The occasional large war. They did invade Drekis a couple hundred years ago and almost overrun the whole place and had to be pushed out. Not too friendly, so there's not a ton of trade back and forth, but independent merchants will do it. But the states are unhappy with each other, and the populations are pretty distrusting of one another.
Okay, but it wouldn't be too unusual for a Drekis citizen to travel to Pikes Point.
I would call it unusual, but you wouldn't be immediately arrested upon arrival. You would definitely get looks and questions, and people hearing your Drekisian accent, and you'd actually have to probably speak Drekisian, would treat you with the appropriate, like, who the fuck is this dude? What are you doing here? There'd be instant distrust, but you could probably do it.
Okay, I happen to speak a Cuban, so that will probably pay off. Having studied all this stuff for mapping in the past.
It's very convenient.
Okay, I guess I'll look at that signature from the guy to get the spelling of his name, Idrea.
Yeah, I will put it in. I'll DM it to you, but I'm also going to just drop it in our chat here.
That is definitely not what I wrote. Excellent. But makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. After thinking about it for a moment, I say, well, you've picked the right man for the job. I think I will take your advice and visit all of those locations, stopping at Coxport, then Island on the way, then Outlast, and then even visiting Pikes Point.
Really? Ah, good. I'm very glad to hear about all this. A lot of people were concerned about this process and about bringing you on for this. Some of my other advisors, when we talked about who to assign to this job, wanted someone who would just show up and kill the warlock immediately. But I said no. Who we want is a clever person, someone deeply ingrained with magic who can really understand what's happening here. Because if this warlock, by some small chance, is able to summon a dragon, that's worth knowing about. And just a couple more details about the old man. He speaks with a Cuban accent. He's old. He has red eyes. That's what the harbor master reported back, and that his face is covered, not covered, but like speckled with black and red scales, and that he has a forked tongue.
Oh.
This is why our advisors say he's a warlock who is channeling powers from an evil red dragon. I haven't heard of a warlock since the Age of Might, or the Age of Heroes, right? The warlocks just don't exist anymore. So maybe this person's got a good makeup job and, split his tongue down the middle. A person can fork their own tongue, and maybe his eyes were just bloodshot. Who knows?
As a side note, have I ever heard of this? It sounds like a different race. Have I heard of this different race before?
No. That doesn't ring any bells off the top of your head.
It sounds like a dragon human.
It would. It does sound a little bit like a dragon human, depending on the extent of the scales, certainly. Yeah. It could be but that's not a thing that's around. If you're thinking that he might be some sort of like, unusual race from far away, or like a magically if you're suspecting that he might be draconic in nature, you go ahead and keep those suspicions, but it would be unheard of in this time and place.
Got it. Well, thank you for all the information. Sounds like he would be quite the known character in Akuba, so I do think it'll be worth stopping by Pikes Point to see if they've heard of that. I don't suppose you have any gift baskets that the Akubans would like. If I were to want to speak with someone more official there.
He rubs his chin. That is a fantastic idea. Cuban gift baskets.
Something unofficial, official. A gift from Drekis to a Cuban.
He ponders for a moment. He tells you to come back in a couple of days. He'll put something together, but he's got to think on it. You would know that Lord Richard Marshall didn't start off as a lord. He started off as a merchant, and he's got pretty long reach with his mercantilism. So if anyone could have a gift for the Akubans, it's this guy.
Great.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like before we start? Before you leave Lord Richard Marshall's wonderful presence?
I think that'll cover it.
Okay. I think this is now... Nope. We want it to be 3.5 miles, I believe. Yeah, okay, so the scaling on this map is now more or less correct. So Hirschwick to Outlast, 140 miles. Yeah, perfect. 3 to 4 days.
Cool. I'm just thinking about this journey from Hogsport to Outlast. Is there a common boat, or would we have to like roll ourselves?
In order to get you where you need to go, Lord Marshall is going to requisition one of the Empire's small vessels. It's got a crew of 4 to do the sailing, 10 to do the rowing, plus 2 officers. So 4, 2, 10, 16 people. And their sole job is just going to be to transport you around. they'll take you where you need to go. But none of them are. Well, the 2 officers are soldiers, but they're going to stay on the boat and man the boat.
Great. I make sure that. Is this like an official government boat?
Yes, it is. Well, no, it's being requisitioned by the government, but it's a private vessel.
Okay. Just in case it would need to come up, it's probably good to get some notes that I am on official government duty and a separate note that I'm on official merchant duty to Akuba. So
All right.
2 sets of excuses.
So first excuse is that you are officially working for the government.
Yep.
Government agent. And the other one was what?
We're looking to open up a trade route.
So like an official government sanctioned, or just like papers that say you are a licensed trader?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So non-government trading.
Perfect.
Which perhaps Lord Marshall is actually interested in on the side. Who knows?
Yeah. If you're going to bring up that you would like an official trade license, he's always wanted to open up some new avenues. I'll let you know that he has some connections in Akuba, not at Pikes Point, but one of their other cities nearby. He's always wanted to get connections with Pike Point, but it's just a little, it looks a little bad to trade directly with your closest enemy. He's always tried to kind of keep the trading on the DL. But if you want to help him out with this, if you want to, if this is going to be part of your official covert operation here, I'm sure the Empress would have no problem issuing a new license on your behalf just for this job. You wanted a gift basket. He's got ideas. When we come back from our break, I will have a gift basket for you and maybe some other fun stuff that Richard, Lord Marshall, would want to do on the side.
Nice.
And I think with that, we should go to our first break, and we'll see you all on the other side of it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rise of Drekis, Chapter 5. So, you can show back up a couple of days, as ordered, with to get the information you are looking for. First off, your trade license. What's your business name?
I probably would want to use an offshoot of his current business.
His current business is called Lionel Imports and Exports.
I asked Marshall if he's okay with attaching Lionel's name to this enterprise.
He would be happy to have this run under his enterprise and have you be just one of his licensed merchants. That's fantastic.
Right.
Perfect. So you will get a piece of paper. It's got the Queen's seal on one side of it, and on that same side is text saying, I should probably write this down, but I'm just going to, I'll write it down later, or hope that someone writes it down on my behalf. Vincent Mapper is working on behalf of the Empire in order to restore the Spice Islands to rightful rule. Any citizen of the Empire should help Vincent upon this quest to the best of their ability. There needs to be a little bit of language about limitations. No request should be unusual, nor put anyone's life or livelihood in danger. any expenses incurred can be compensated for with a note from Vincent by taking it to your, your what's it called? Your county seat. And then the backside of this piece of parchment just has like some fancy designs and scrawlings across it so that no one can like flip it over and add extra text. So there's no way to, well, I shouldn't say no way. There's no mundane way to modify this note. And it's, signed by the Empress, sealed with her seal. The seal is a bit of wax. And so if that seal gets like broken or chipped or worn off, the letter becomes useless. So don't let this piece of parchment, this piece of vellum, get damaged. Mm-hmm. The other one is you've seen these before. You've got bureaucracy, you've got administration. It's a proper, one large page document with, fancy scrolling around the edges, being like, the aforementioned Vincent Mapper is hereby, licensed to perform trade duties on behalf of Lionel Imports and Exports. Here's the date of the license. Here's the location of the license. Here's the blah, just a whole bunch of bureaucratic information about who you are and where you come from and the limits and extents and where your debts are paid and that you're bonded with this person and any trade that any cargo that you are moving can be, if damaged, the insurer lives at this place and blah, 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 blah. We hopefully won't need to deal with the specifics of this, but it's a nice fat trade license. And it's, again, this is a much larger, like a, 8.5 by 11 paper. I think you guys in Europe call that A4. I'm not sure. A2, A4? Something like that.
Okay. And you can go into this as much as you'd like, but Vincent will ask Marshall, by the way, what's happened in Drekis since I was gone?
Well, if you really want to know, he says, and he will pull out a map from within his table and start to roll it out on the floor and bring you to it. Oops, here we go. Let me point out some things on the map. The biggest thing that we've been dealing with is the resettlement of Eridon. You see, as you know, Eridon, the southern half, completely overrun by demons, totally destroyed. Even out to here. You could really just divide everything like this and say this was all destroyed by demons. Stromheim sort of survived, and there's been some nice resettlement efforts down in Cauldron and Misty Rapids, trying to rebuild those places. Cauldron's up and running, Misty Rapids is sort of up and running. Thornwood has been, no pun intended, thorn in our side. The monsters of the Soggy Hills and the Thornwood Forest have really... some of those gods are monstrous, and they with their help, the monsters there have just run amok. I don't know if there's been some sort of ogre breeding program or if Malchus just hates us, but overrun.
Oh, that Malchus.
Tell me about it. The giants of the Tether Wilds seem to have survived all of the demon invasions, and with 15 years of peace and solitude, they've had a whole slew of new children without any infant mortality, it seems. And so now the giants are running rampant over there. The goblins down in Whiteshore have been mostly dealt with, and thankfully this area is being able to be resettled. No one has really figured out what happened to the population of Whiteshore. They're just gone. No one ever solved it. Over in Hillsborough, in the Principality over here, the Redport Principality, independent state. Negotiations are going great. Lovely to have them. They have offered to act as emissaries and traders and transportation officials, as well as dealing with local problems along the coastlines. In exchange, the Empire will provide them safety from the You dealt with some of those Verasi Empire people all the way from Solemn. Well, they didn't take too kindly to the conflict with Ethos, and there's been some skirmishes at sea. There's been a couple of islands over in the Dardanelles that are currently being fought over. We're doing fine over there, but we're protecting the Principality of Redport and Clydesdale from any of these sea invasions, and as in return, they're helping with some payments and some utility in the area. The undead menace in the plains has... I feel like I can trust you, Vincent. The official story is that it's been dealt with. Unofficially, it's gone, but there's a lack of corpses, right? Where maybe skeletons just evaporate upon destruction. I don't know. I'm a merchant. But they haven't found, the graveyard of the undead army. They're just gone. So maybe they all got washed down the river. Maybe they attacked Heatstroke and fought with whatever monsters were left there. Who knows? But the undead army's gone, and my son-in-law, Lord William Marshall, my favorite, my golden child, sits in the crown in the seat of fortune, governing the Golden Sea and all the surrounding things.
Such excellent fortune indeed.
That's how I got my name. Yeah, Lord Marshall. It was through my son-in-law. The dwarves in the Hemderkos Hills, they got their own little dwarven kingdom. They're doing great. We're happy to work with them. No one wants to come into any conflict there, so they've been granted their independence. Drekis itself is just doing fantastic. A lot of damage done from the war, cities burned, but they're all being rebuilt, and populations are moving around. And one thing I gotta say about dragons destroying cities is that once the war is over, your refugee problem is immediately solved because there's housing and great land all over the place. So populations have been resettled, things are being rebuilt, everyone's thriving. Gold Hill's been taken over. I shouldn't say taken. It has been incorporated into the empire. The queen's son-in-law, this Imric guy, Imric McGarry, who's king and crown hold, has become a little withdrawn. There are rumors that he surrounds himself with flowers all the time, which is just slightly out of character for a wizard. His entrance hall is just covered with roses and lilacs. It's a bit odd. People have been calling it the flower throne. Weird thing. The gold dragon Shine, who lives in Dragon Peak, she's keeping a low profile, which is exactly what we want. We don't want another dragon in Dragon Peak, making people think that we're the same thing as Scoria and her legionaries. So she just keeps a low profile, doesn't get involved too much, just as it should be. Overall, everything is coming fairly well. There's some issues with the Mystrians. Their peace agreements have not been fulfilled to the extent that we would like, but they haven't been broken so badly that it requires direct intervention. Requires a deft hand to handle that.
Right. Of course. Good to hear that Drekis is doing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But things are looking up. Things are... Yeah. Still had never figured out what happened to the Queen of Eridon out of Stromheim. She just disappeared 8 years ago. Something like that. Thought she would have turned up by now. Thinking maybe something happened, or maybe she fled far away. But 8 years is a long time, so he shrugs. Yep. He doesn't mention the anything happening in the Elven Woods. Doesn't bring it up.
Well, those are problems for a different set of adventurers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also have for you, and he'll point to a box, a small box, like a little chest that's sitting off to the side. I have for you some valuable things that you can trade, and a list of legitimate materials that you might be able to acquire for us in Akuba. He'll produce a small list. It says reams of papyrus, barrels of gum arabic, and boxes of pine nuts. And each ream of parchment, he estimates the purchase price is about 150 gold. A barrel of gum arabic should be about 60 gold plus some money for the barrel. And the boxes of pine nuts should be about a GP per pound. He'd also like contact of a marble seller because Drekis doesn't have any good marble. All the good marble comes from Akuba. And it would be great if there would be some sort of marble salesman that you could get in touch with. Akuba is recovering from a really nasty civil war that, happened over the last few years. It's settled now. So, they could probably use some money. And the little box that he's got of trade goods, he'll ask you to bring it over. And I need you to make me a bureaucracy proficiency check before we open it.
All right. Let's go. Bureaucracy check. Let's see.
Perfect. 21 as a pass. You rolled a 24. When you open it, there's 3 small bags. And you open the bags, and there's these really fat mithril coins in them. And there's only one mithril mine in all of Arcadia, and is in the recently conquered former kingdom of Mystria over on Sky Peak. Only source of mithril in Arcadia. And it's expensive, and it's rare. It has, the strength of iron, but 1/5 the weight. Actually, slightly stronger than iron and 1/5 the weight. It's beautiful. It doesn't rust. It doesn't corrode. It makes amazing armor specifically, but also weapons, tools of any kind. But it's such a valuable and precious thing that can be used for, such extraordinary goods that it's generally not traded. And it's certainly not the sort of thing that you would trade to your longtime rivals, the Akubans, way off the map. But here he is with 3 bags of mithril coins. And he doesn't mention this embargo on them, but he just has the bags of them and tells you that you can trade them in Akuba. And that the rate is 1 mithril coin, should probably be worth about 40 gold in Akuba. Here in Drekis, since you passed your bureaucracy check, you'd know a mithril coin here is worth about 20 gold, but in a place like Akuba that has an embargo on it, you could probably get 40 gold for one of those coins.
Oh.
Yeah. Because they definitely want their hands on that stuff. I mean, if chainmail weighs 40 pounds, but you make it out of mithril, all of a sudden it only weighs, what's 1/5 of 40? 8?
It's
8
nice.
pounds?
You said 3 bags of it, so how many coins are we talking?
150 coins.
Nice.
3 pounds of mithril. Not enough to make a full suit of chainmail, but a half suit of chainmail, just a chain shirt, this is enough.
I'll also let him know. This is said not immediately after seeing the mithril coins, but kind of as an aside. By the way, I've recently learned a useful spell that you may, as a merchant with a lot of connections, find useful, and I'm here at your service if you find it necessary to pass along an encoded message.
Tell me more.
I have the ability to make an entire page, an entire document, look like something else, and then with a simple command word, it will revert back to its normal form.
Times like these do require a lot of secrecy. He looks in your eyes. He's gazing into your face, trying to judge the extent of your trustworthiness and trying to gaze and understand where your loyalties might lie. Are you his employee? Are you the Crown's employee? Are you your own person? Like, what does Vincent want in life? Is that slow look he's trying to discern from you? And I think he's got to ask you a good question here. You know, Vincent, these mithril coins that I'm sending you with are worth a small fortune. I was intending to send along one of my accountants just to keep an eye on things, make sure that a handful of coins doesn't, fall overboard or get miscounted. Make sure that the Kubans value these things appropriately. Would love to trust you with more. And the sorts of secrets that might need to be passed by notes or by hidden pages are the sorts of secrets that might make or break major agreements, major deals, major treaties. How would you go about discerning if you could trust someone with a task or a detail that would be highly destructive if revealed, if made public, if fallen into the wrong hands?
It's an interesting question. I'd say it would take a series of time of building up that trust, and then ultimately it would come down to a decision of, is this man's character worth trusting?
I think that's a good point. You became, if I remember correctly, you became a wizard. You went to school. Your magical education was a contract with the Crown that you would be educated and the Crown would pay for your expenses, and then you would owe years of service to the Crown. Is that right?
That's right. My entire life, I thought I'd just take over the family business of running a map store. But after finding I have a knack for this magic, perhaps I'm cut out for a bit more.
When your term of service to the Crown is over, what would you like to do with your life?
Gee, I hadn't quite thought it out that much, but I sense that you and I are kindred spirits, and I'd probably look into running some sort of business myself to do odds and ends.
It's an exciting world. The problem is that everyone wants a merchant to be, how do we say, to do it the way that they want to. Merchants have wealth, they have money, we move things here and there, we're easy targets for robbers, both bandits on the road, but also lords and ladies who might try to line their own pockets, who might try to enact laws or have strongmen take taxes or force bribes, sometimes in the form of like tariffs or road crossing tolls. Everyone's always trying to... No one ever wants to work for their money, and merchants are an easy mark. It's a harder job than you might expect, more danger-filled, and with more enemies than most people realize.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you want to get involved in something that, would make you friends, but certainly make you a target for others?
nothing ventured, nothing gained. I respond with a friendly smile.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel.
The only way to really make any amount of wealth of anything worth anything is to take some amount of risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's see how good this spell of yours is. I mentioned I wanted some marble, or contact with a marble dealer. If we could get some sort of agreement, some sort of promise of being able to work together, that would be fantastic. And it's also the sort of thing that if it fell into the wrong hands, if, I don't know, the captain of your ship found out, they might be able to sell that information to somebody who would then come to me and say, oh, hey, I hear you're getting marble contracts. Didn't you know there's this old law? And they'd make up some old law that says any marble must come through our ports and must be taxed by these numbers. There's a lot of old laws that don't apply anymore. And I'm sure the captain of your ship is going to want to inspect cargo coming and going, and we're doing some of these trading options. He's going to want to see documentation to make sure everything is on the up and up. Not my man, you see. So why don't we start by keeping our business to ourselves and making sure that the ship captain is not aware of this marble deal, if it can be arranged.
Yes, of course.
And anything else that you can pull off? Well, we'll see if we're not just kindred spirits, but if we're on the same page. If this all goes according to plan and Embershore comes back into the fold, there's a separate expedition I'm planning. And I've been looking for the right person for the job. It takes you away from the Empire for a long time. It'd be far overseas. But if you're the man I hope you are, you would be perfect for that.
I hope to prove myself to you in this first expedition, then.
Excellent.
Thank you for your trust.
Oh, thank you for your interest, sir. It's hard to find people who see the bigger picture. Who don't have, petty allegiances to small towns and ancient rites. It's a new age that we're living in. It's going to take a lot of networking to make it happen. Anyway, I've talked your ear off enough for today. If you need anything, please be in touch. Outside, you will see an assistant of mine who will make sure that money is being spent appropriately and deliver me a report of any of your actions, just to as we're learning to trust each other, just to make sure everything happens smoothly. Yeah.
Right, this assistant will be traveling with us, and does he have half the knowledge of mercantilism that you do?
He's an accountant. He'll keep ledgers, he'll count coins, he'll weigh out goods, make sure that everything is as it's supposed to be, and then deliver a report. Doesn't know much about the ins and outs of the business, but he does add, and he does write. His name is Bronco, and he's been working with me for about 25 years now. He's in his mid-50s. He shouldn't be underfoot at all.
Great. It's rare to have such a good man at your employ. I'll make sure he's treated well.
Excellent. Good day. And he'll make sure you take the coins and the pieces of paper, the license, the government contract, and all the other little bits and ends. And out you can go.
Great.
All right. Yeah, and Bronco's out there, and he'll just fall in line behind you and Vorden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting start. This was not what I was expecting, but I do like where we're going here. How would you like to begin your journey?
Well, I will take that practical path and just go from least distance to furthest distance. So I think first stop is Cocksport.
Okay. We are going to set off on our journey on the 26th of November, the date that Eris, goddess of tranquility, is highest in the sky. We're approaching, this is like mid-autumn. We're getting close to wintertime here. The journey from Kershwick to Cocksport is less than a day. And I don't think there's any problems along the way, so why don't we just head straight to Cocksport? If you want, we can, meet the people on your boat at some time, but for the most part, unless there's some boating problems, they're kind of just going to fall into the background.
That's fine. I'm fine with them just being in the background.
Excellent. Well, welcome to Cocksport, the city in the briny bay on Bear Drop Island. There's a nice harbor with stone pavers, multi-story buildings, a bunch of piers with ships on it, and then a flat stretch before a hill begins to rise, and there's a castle on the hill, and the whole city is kind of like comes down the hill from the castle towards the port down here. It's pretty busy. It was badly damaged in the war, so there's a lot of like ruined buildings and a lot of new construction. You can see that the woods around Cocksport itself have been recently felled, and there are new timber and plaster buildings coming up all over the place. Tons of ships unloading lumber and stone from all over, and the place is in full post-war rebuilding. And since it's been a few years, it's the year 1521 right now, most of the regular people's stuff are rebuilt, and it's like the castle that it's having stones replaced on. The castle will take a while to build.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got a full description of how this Cuban man entered the harbor here, I believe, and spoke to the harbor master, so I'll take the same path and speak to the harbor master.
Excellent. The harbor master is, I guess you would, her name is Madam Longpace. She is about 5'8", at a very thin 128 pounds. She's about 43 years old. She looks like she's got that she's got the build of someone who has a high metabolism or, is running around all the time and has no time to eat. So tall, thin, pretty fast, and pretty like attentive. A little bit on the not quite twitchy, but always alert. She drinks a lot of coffee, is what you would say. And she's got her little office. And by the time you get in the office, there's no one in line. And she is, busy scrawling. She's got like 2 books open, and she's going down one list and then comparing it to the other and going down and comparing and like marking off little notes. There's a guard at the front door. There's a couple of clerks nearby. There's someone who's supposed to be like there to move goods. I guess you would call them a porter, who's just chilling in the background. And when you enter in, the harbor master looks up, sees you, Vordren with you. I don't think Bronco's with you at this point. She just kind of looks at you expectantly. Can I help you?
Yes. I think back to how long ago it would be that Eldrea visited here.
You said a couple of months. 2 or 3 months now? Yeah.
I'm here on official business on behalf of Drekis. couple months ago, one a Cuban man named Aldrea, if you caught his name. He came and had a distinct look. I was wondering if you could describe him to me and that meeting.
I'm sorry, who are you?
I didn't introduce myself. I am Vincent Mapper, working on behalf of the Drekisian Empire to investigate this man in the Spice Islands.
Can you prove what you say? Or are you
I
just
can.
some random person showing up trying
I
to
pull
get
out
rumors?
this letter. I'd rather not unseal this here, but I show her the envelope with the wax from the Emperor.
Right.
Empress.
The seal is on the page itself. So like if this is your letter, the seal
Yeah.
just sits in the corner, so you would never have to
Oh.
break it. Yeah.
Got it. Yes, I show her the letter.
Perfect. She'll take it, she'll skim it over, she'll look at you, and she'll look at your clothing. And you're not wearing like, your robes or your clothes, whatever they are, aren't like embroidered with the royal crown on them. You don't have the colors of an Empire agent. You don't have like a flag. You don't look like a military officer. You don't have like a retinue of followers. She gives you that look of like, who? Okay. Looks at the seal, and then she'll pause, shuffle around, pull up another piece of paper, which you'll see has the same seal, and just do a moment of comparing handwriting and comparing seals, just to make sure everything's on the up and up. And then carefully put the old one away, hand you yours back, and be like, sorry, Vincent. Lots are happening these days. How may I be of service to the Empress?
Well, I'm glad you are so diligent. The Empress has clearly made the right choice in choosing to be the harbor master here. So, what I need is a description of that day where you met this Akuban man and warlock he was claiming to be.
I think so, yes. Let's see.
Could you describe that day?
I'm in my office, going about my business, just as I was right here when you arrived. It was, let's see. It was August, middle of August. I remember it being a warm day. You could really smell the salt. You can always smell the salt from the briny bay, but this one, particularly pungent. And my door was shut, and all of a sudden it opens up, and standing before me, where's this audio track? Hold on. All of a sudden, the door opens, and standing before me is an older man. I would say in his 60s, about 5'11", 160 pounds, right-handed. He had, when he spoke, you could see that his tongue was split. Not just split, but, pointed like a snake's tongue. His face was, his skin tone, sort of bronzy, sun-kissedy, a Cuban-looking gentleman, but on the neck ever so slightly, and just in the scalp a little bit, you could see these scale-looking, fish scale-looking patches that were more red or black. Maybe like the flesh had been rotted and burned and it was black. The red I couldn't quite account for. When he handed me a paper, he did so with his right hand. About 60 years old. He spoke with a clear, sure voice, like he had practiced this speech 100 times. And then he handed me a piece of paper. In the conversation, he said that I've passed the note onto the Empress, so you'll have to find it there. But he said that the Spice Islands were declaring independence, that he was working on behalf or had contact with the legendary Brimstone Fire Incarnate from under Cindera, the volcano on Embershore. He said if any soldiers stepped foot on any of the Spice Islands, that island would burn. He said that we were to leave them alone. And then once handing me the message, without waiting for confirmation or question, he left. This was a declaration, an edict, not a discussion. And when he turned on his heel quite quickly and marched off. And it wasn't just the scales and the tongue. It wasn't just the red eyes. There was something about the man that projected an aura of malevolence. You know, like he almost looked like he wanted me to send soldiers there so that he could burn things down. There was almost like a challenge or an eagerness in his face. He wanted to prove his point. And then just like that, he heel turned and walked out. He had a briefcase. And his briefcase turned into a boat. I walked out the building and watched him walk to the shore, toss his briefcase in, speak a word, and a boat it was, maybe 25 feet long at the waterline, 40-something feet long at the tip to tail, single mast, room for rowers. Hopped on the boat, and then it moved of its own accord.
Oh.
Yeah, it was quite a sight. Been the talk of the town.
Since then, has business from the Spice Islands been pretty much business as usual? I imagine they still need to export their spices and import other goods.
She shakes her head. No, it has not been business as usual. I immediately decreed that no ships should go to them, and no ships have come from them either. I didn't want to be the cause of a new conflict or the destruction of valuable properties. Whatever things are there will just build up and be harvested, I assume. So there might be a delay, but no long-term losses. It's just been quiet.
Do you know if the Spice Island people have any necessities that they have imported? Can they do without shipments for such a long time?
They are self-sufficient in agriculture, but not in clothing, not some building supplies, but they lack stone. They lack good metal workers. I do believe Volutin in Embershore has a smith, but I think it's a singular outfit. Shop, maybe an apprentice or two, and that's it. So tools will be in short supply, clothing in short supply. They might have spices, but they don't have all the sorts of food that someone might like. I don't think they make inks or paper. They don't make a lot of things, but they can feed themselves. And there's plenty of fish in the sea.
I'm surprised. So if only soldiers are barred from the Spice Islands, have no merchants attempted to go trading?
No merchants have come in to tell me that they've gone there. I would have them arrested and thrown in jail.
I see. All right, you've been very helpful. Thank you.
Before you go, I would like to note that Brimstone, the dragon, is a thing of legend. It's an old legend dating back to sometime after the breaking of the world, sometime after the Arcadia split. Legend has it that he landed on Embershore and a volcano was dropped upon him, burying him in the ground. I think something like that would probably destroy a dragon, but what do I know? And hasn't been heard of or seen since then, just the rumor, the dragon under the mountain. And then some years ago, the island vanished. It wasn't there for a period of months.
Huh.
And then it reappeared. And the survivors who returned slowly spoke of the dragon escaping the volcano, setting up shop on an island in the northeast, near, I think, Ice Cap it was. And then returning to under the mountain. I don't know how a dragon escapes a mountain and then returns underneath it, but the locals appear to believe that's what happened, and only some of them returned after the vanishing of the island. That act has never been explained. I did not see it myself.
Very unusual. This happened just a few years ago, huh?
Yes, the weather was not great. I still think that perhaps drunken sailors, foggy weather, didn't find mMarshall, just missed it and claimed it was gone. But locals say... She kind of just waves her hand away.
What an interesting tale. How long was it gone for?
Months? Maybe?
Okay. Vincent has had some experience with islands mysteriously appearing, so he lines up the time frame of the island he was just at. When was that?
So the current year is 1521. The island vanished in like 1509. And it reappeared later in 1509. Ethos arrived... No one's sure when it showed up, because people didn't know about it until someone found it. But it was found in 15... Ooh. It was found in 15... what? 1516? Something like that? But it could have been there for a year or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Not 1516. It was found in 1510. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What a tale indeed.
Yeah, so actually right around the time that Valutan mMarshall vanished.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well then, my boat will be heading out to one of the Spice Islands just to find out what happened. And of course, complying with this order, we aren't acting, we aren't dressed in any official capacity of Drekis.
Mm-hmm. You don't have soldiers aboard your ship?
No.
Well, if the crown says that you're going to go there, then best of luck.
I nod and thank you. You've been very helpful.
My pleasure. And she will let you go.
Well, I plan to stay the night at Coxport, and I'll pick up a bunch of clothing and basic tools while I'm here.
All right. With what money, sir? How are you going to pay for these things? Now, you've got those mithril coins. You've got some amount of personal wealth. And you do have a letter that says the Empire will cover costs. But it's pretty vague. How would you like to interpret your resources?
How much do I think? I'm not looking for much. Like 2 families worth of clothing and like basic tools. So it's probably something my personal money can cover.
Okay, yeah. If you're just looking for, bolts of cloth that they can sew together, that should be pretty easy. Cloth. No, do we not have bolts? Fabric. Oh. Okay. If we're looking for basic fabrics, not fancy, not dyed, not sewed, just like things that you could use to clothe yourself with. And you have how much wealth?
Got like 15 gold.
Okay. $1,500. You could spend 500. Family. You said 2 families worth. So that's like 15 people. That's about 7 gold worth of raw fabric. And then you said tools.
Yeah.
I would imagine we're looking for like farming implements, like, knives, hose.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I think if you spend your 15 gold, you should be able to get 2 families worth of, you don't exactly know what tools they need, but you can get some sort of things that would generally be useful. A couple of scythes, some hammers, that sort of stuff.
Great. I will, I muse about if I should, bill this to the Empire, but I decide it's a small enough cost to not bother them. And I'll spend the 15 gold.
Great. You drop your cash. You can pick up these things on demand. No need for special orders. And the next day, you can set out. To where are we going?
I'll ask the harbor master which particular island exported them. Let's see. I guess I'll point out on the map, like, that bottom island, did it have a good amount of people? Did it export? Yeah, that one.
Yeah, population somewhere in the 500s. Exports are primarily cinnamon. I'm sorry, not cinnamon, not that island. Cinnamon comes from trees. Is it cloves that come from bushes? Where do cloves come from? It's a bush. Nope, it's a tree. Then that island exports chili peppers. Cayenne peppers is their primary, but they'll also do jalapeno and what we would call Thai basil. But, there's no Thailand in this world, so I don't know. I guess there's a town there called Thai. Done. Great. Thai basil, cayenne, and whatever I said. Yeah.
Okay. Then that will be the stop. We head out.
Okay. Cayenne, Thai basil, and was it habanero? Habanero. I will have to spell those later. Excellent. All right. You can leave the next day on November the 28th, the day that Salt, the god of despair, begins to appear on the horizon and rise into full view. Nothing symbolic about that. And it's just a short little jaunt, right over here, 19 miles. You can easily do that in half a day. You just got to wait for the tides to be right. High tide is at 8 in the morning or 7:45. So that is when you set out. Set out just after that.
Great.
And so
I'll also ask the harbor master, since she seems pretty knowledgeable, if the trip from Coxport to Outlast is safe.
Absolutely safe. As safe can be, as long as you do not have not made enemies of the sea elves. Presume you don't have animosity with them.
Nope. Very good.
There you go.
All right, off to the South Island.
Excellent. Well, some hours later, you're going to arrive on this South Island, and it is, it's a pretty warm, dry place. Lots of sunshine, not very much in the way of trees. It's got some gentle hills in the middle of it, and there's no proper dock. You can see, 2 distinct villages as you're approaching from the south. There's one just on the right side, and then there's one, I should probably just over here. And you can see the little smoke rising from either little village. There's the camp and cooking smoke from pretty far away. The captain of your boat tells you that you've got a rowboat on board. They'll get some of their rowers to row you to shore. You and whoever you want to take with you.
Great. Just the rowers, Vordren, and I'll carry the stuff that I picked up from Coxport. Some clothing and tools.
And would you like to go to the eastern or western side of this island?
Captain probably knows best which one would be more knowledgeable about the going-ons of Embershore.
She shrugs. They're about the same.
Take the west one.
All right. All right. Western one it is. You arrive. The boat weighs anchor out in the shallow sea. You hop in a rowboat and you row your way to shore. And on your way to shore, we should probably use something a little bit more spooky. On your way to shore, you can see that your boat obviously has been spotted and that there is a small grouping of locals who are gathering on the shore awaiting your arrival. They've come down off of the hills to move towards the village, or they've come out of their little huts. Few people have actually gotten out of the water to see you arrive. And you can see that there's a lot of activity there. And as your little boat is getting closer to the shore, you can see torches and firebrands being lit, and people walking with these lit torches or firebrands away from the little village and kind of off towards the more rural agricultural areas outside of the village.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Gathered on shore to greet your boat is about 30 people, farmers by the looks of it. They've got pitchforks, they've got hoes, they've got scythes and sickles and gardening and farming implements, but no proper weapons amongst them. That doesn't look to be a trained soldier. There's not a scrap of armor to be found. These are all, AC 10 plus 0, maybe even -1 to hit people wielding weapons that would do D6 damage, just as a construct of what we've got here. And peasants tend to have pretty low morale when it comes to fighting, if it comes to fighting. The children are shuffled off inside. The men and women stand outside as your boat gets close to shore. How do you have Vordren? Is he in all of his armor with a shield, or is he unarmored? What's Vordren geared up as?
I think we'll go casual wear today. So that would be not with armor on, not with shield on, sword just on the belt. Assuming carrying a weapon is commonplace these days.
Yeah, common enough that it's not going to, anyone carrying a weapon's a little bit suspicious, but he's not a soldier. He doesn't have armor or shield. That kind of tones it down a little bit.
Great. As we row on in, I give the villagers a wave and I say, "Hello." From far enough away, I say, "Looks like you might need a new pitchfork or a hoe. I've got them here."
Yeah. They watch with some suspicion as you arrive, but pretty soon their weapons, slightly lower, as it appears you're not soldiers, you're not something super spooky. And your boat will pull up to the shore, and you can step off, and standing in front of you is an old man, 84 years old, if he's a day. And his name, he will, step forward and say, "I am Christopher, elder of this village." He's like 6 feet tall, 160 pounds, thinner old man. What are you doing here?
Hello,
Who are
Christopher. I am Vincent. I didn't know I would get such a welcome, so I'm afraid I didn't bring enough for everyone, but I bring out the tools and clothing. I have come to offer a small gift, and I just hoped that we could have a talk.
Vincent? Of what? Of where? On whose behalf do you work, sir?
Vincent Mapper, not working for anyone in particular. Just here out of curiosity. I'm a traveling wizard.
He motions everyone to put their, to lower their things down, and says, traveling wizard. You come from the south? You come from Kershwick, perhaps?
Yes, you have a good eye, exactly. But before then, I traveled from very far north.
He gives you a look over and motions back to his little hut where he's got a little fire going to keep the place nice and warm. And some of his family members will come with you, and the rest of the village sort of stands outside waiting as you and Vincent enter the hut.
Yep, Vincent does the heavy lifting and carries all the stuff in.
Excellent.
And I take a seat.
Well, Mr. Vincent, it's good of you to come visit us. We've been having some troubles lately, and it would be nice to have a good friend. But I must say, we are no longer friends of the foul empire.
Oh, what happened?
They left us, Vincent. They left us to die. They left us to burn. They left the dragon to rage across the islands. Not a
There's
finger
a
was lifted.
dragon.
During the war,
Oh.
years ago, the Empire just let us be slaughtered. No longer will we work with them in any way, shape, or form. And if you come from Kershwick, I am sorry to say that we are done.
Have I heard? I'm guessing that I've not heard about a dragon rampaging the Spice Islands a few years ago.
During the big war that happened a while ago, the Red Dragon Scoria did, destroy a bunch of stuff. She fought and burned a bunch of Drekisian things down. And you hadn't heard that the Spice Islands themselves were hit. People talked about like Bridgegate and Ralwick and Rencor and Stoneport and Pernissus. But no one mentioned the Spice Islands.
Got it. Scoria the Red Dragon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the red.
I have some good news for you if you hadn't heard. She has been defeated.
Yes, that's what they said. And once she was defeated, people came for their taxes and tributes. Not with help, not with clerics, not with medicinal aid, but just, you haven't paid your taxes in 2 years. Oh, your farms are burned. Well, you still owe your resources.
Oh. That's not right.
You understand. Good. Now, I hope you understand why we cannot deal with Southerners. Better to live our own life out here, independent and free.
I'm a bit of a merchant as well. How have you been able to get by without any trade? I know that your region is most well known for spices.
We have fish from the sea. We have food in our bellies. All these other luxuries are the things of the people with the silk slippers. They do not matter. They do not sustain life.
Does your entire village feel that way?
He nods. I speak for the village.
Okay. A few months ago, did something embolden you all enough to take this hard stance? I'd heard about another wizard who might have visited here.
So you are familiar with our Lord Idria?
Only from what I'd heard about him, and I'd hoped to hear more from the residents of Spice Islands.
Idria said someone like you would come, bearing gifts and fine clothes and looking pretty and speaking softly, but that your words would be poison.
Oh.
Yes. Yes, Lord Idria has brought service where it did not exist, brought unity where there was chaos, brought peace, focus. He serves, I know, that's not the right word. He is imbued with powers, deep and great magical powers from the one under the stones. I see you don't quite believe me. Come.
No, I do believe you. Just thinking about how kind you are to accept me, even though the other wizard told you these words.
Well, one must always observe the rites of hospitality, the old rites, long forgotten in this world. You can't just kill someone for arriving upon your doorstep without them committing some sort of crime first.
I appreciate it. I'd certainly hate to be dead on my first adventure.
Shakes his head. You seem a wise man, one who is looking for truth, not looking for manipulation. Let me show you what you are walking yourself into. And he'll leave the building with you and lead you to a shrine that has been recently erected at the back of the town. There is a block of obsidian that has been carved by hand, crudely, I might add. Well, not crudely, but not super finely, not like well edged, of a dragon with his wings out, on his back two legs, front legs rearing up, the tail kind of circling around, providing a stable base for the statue, and like a little black jet of obsidian sticking out of him that looks like it was carved separately and then like placed and glued in the mouth. And around it's sitting on a little podium, pedestal, there's a term, plinth, sitting on a plinth that has little etchings around it with silver and gold coins placed about it.
See, is this the being that everyone on the Spice Islands now follows, worships?
If those are the words you must use, then yes, so be it. But I would say Idria is a servant of Brimstone, and Idria selflessly maybe not entirely selflessly, but Idria has helped organize peace, heal the sick, save the wounded, create order where there was chaos, fight back the monsters that arrived and that come from the sea, and defeated the pirates in the area, those from the Red Coast.
Oh. This Idria sounds like quite the hero.
Yes, he is. From his fingers come fireballs, or he can throw burning rocks. He can splay fire before him. He can lift you from the ground and raise you into the air. He can read your thoughts. Yes.
And he's a healer as well.
The old man nods.
man of many talents. Has Have you personally met him? He's visited all of the Spice Islands.
Yes, he's come in person, in the flesh, by himself. I'll say that not one of the Tolwook family from Outlast has ever set foot upon this island to greet us, but Idria has come himself. What a true leader would do, don't you think?
I think that is a very admirable quality indeed. I'd heard wondrous tales about him hopping off on a magical ship. Perhaps you've seen it.
Yes, the Rift Dancer. Yes.
Let's see. Were you able to understand him speaking? Was he able to speak our language?
Yes, he spoke the common tongue with some accent. I've never felt the same animosity for the Akubans that you Southerners have. It's the people of the Red Coast that are the real threat. The pirates and brigands there. They belong to no nation.
Ah, yes. Well, I can see that you appear to be in good hands.
Well, if there is going to be a terrible ruler, a dictator, a monster who controls the fate of all the people, I would rather side with that monster than side against them. Last time we sided against the dragon and suffered terribly. We will not be making that same mistake a second time. Go tell your empress that we will not be cowed, that we will not be on the losing side of this conflict.
I know I didn't say. I will try to pass that along. Thank you. I won't overstay my welcome.
What did you say your name was, young man?
Vincent.
Vincent. I'm Christopher, leader of Taita, this village.
I'm glad I got the chance to speak to you, Christopher.
Do you leave the clothing and tools, or do you take
yes.
it with you?
I leave it, and I say, hopefully you find this useful.
He looks at the cloth. He looks at the tools. He pauses and has to make himself a willpower check, but he is very old, so his willpower is modified by 2. But he does roll a natural 1, and his greed will overtake him, and he will happily... Wow, that's really good willpower. That's 15 plus 2 for age is 17 willpower.
Wow.
And yet the resources are... He's not going to get more of these, so he happily accepts your gifts and lets you go. You can get back to the boat where the rowers are waiting. They're standing uncomfortably around, not quite walking on shore, just kind of like hanging out up to their waist in the water. There's plenty of people around still with their pitchforks and their torches, not aggressing, but standing by. Unless there's something you want to do, you can hop in and sail out.
Yep. Hopping in, sailing out to Outlast.
Okay. As you get in the boat and head back to the shore, head back to the ship, you can see, signs and symbols being waved, and the people coming back down out of the hills and out of the farmlands, extinguishing their torches in the ground, returning to the village.
Trying to figure out if there was some sort of signal to cause the people going out to all simultaneously burn is what I would guess is what they were trying to do. Perhaps there was some sort of horn that I spotted, or a loud instrument.
Give me a perception check. See if something like that, if it was visible, if you would have noticed it.
Okay.
Because it wasn't like proudly displayed in the center of town.
Yep. Perception.
Nope. Nope.
All right.
Okay. Well, on your boat, and out you go. And it'll be you've got another half day, and then probably another 3 days, 2 days out to Outlast. Why don't we take a break right here, and when we come back, we'll see what happens at Outlast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rise of Drekis Chapter 5. It's going to be a short journey to Outlast. Is there anything you want to discuss with any of your people or do along the way, or shall we just skip on over?
I think we're good to just get there.
All right. Well, you can arrive at the great and glorious city of Outlast. And the first thing you're going to notice about, first thing you're going to notice about Outlast is that it's this like built into a hillside. Essentially, there's a hill leading directly from the ocean up to the main height of the Vron Plains, and the town is built into the city with buildings being like half in the hill and half projecting out. So it's just a steep climb from the port city all the way up. The second thing you're going to notice is that this is a town that is armed to the teeth. Perfect. There are ballista, there are catapults, there are soldiers in gleaming armor standing on docks with bows and spears. This place looks like it is still at war. It does not look like a post-war rebuilding city. It looks like someone who is ready to fend off an imminent invasion. But it has a nice dock, and you can pull your ship up alongside, throw the ropes over, tie up to shore, step off, and you will be immediately greeted by a prickly escorted harbor master who's got a pair of soldiers in chainmail with big shields and spears walking behind the harbor master, and they've got helmets with horsehair crests on them, who walks up to you as the boat is being tied to the dock, and seeks to talk to whoever wants to speak. Now, this is an opportunity where you can either speak up and be like, hey, I'm the one in charge, or you can let the ship captain, which would be the standard protocol, deal with the harbor master when they approach your vessel.
I'll go with the protocol and let the captain handle it.
All right, yeah. The Outlastian harbor master comes over, immediately asks for paperwork, what your business is here. Real formal, real short-tempered. The ship captain will go inside, pull out some logs, hand them over. They've got papers. The courtesies are observed, and when asked what the business is, the ship captain points to you and says, I'm just a transport for this person. And the harbor master will look over at you, give you the up and down once, judging the component pouches at your waist, and say, what would a wizard be needing a ship for, dedicated to themselves and themselves only? You are no ordinary traveler. You don't look like a noble. Who are you, and what is your purpose here?
Very observant, I say, and I reach for the letter signed by the queen herself. Official Drekisian business. Don't damage the seal, I say as I give her the paper.
She'll take the paper, examine it. Doesn't bother to check it against another copy. Must know the signatures and seals well enough to identify a fake on hand. hands it back to you and says, well, anything for our majesty. Still not letting you step off the ship, though. How can I be of service to you?
First of all, I didn't know we were at war. I look around. What's going on over here?
Does a quick look around. You can never be too careful. War never really ends. And there have been a surprisingly uncomfortable number of ships that have not returned. This happens from time to time, but the numbers are too high to account for typical stormy weather.
Where are those ships trying to come from?
Fishing ships that have gone out to sea, out of the shallow sea. Trade ships that make the rounds and should be back and are delayed, at least delayed, or perhaps lost entirely. Ships that have not returned and are months overdue. Those that make the rounds around the continent.
Well, that is bad news because our next trip takes us to Pikes Point. Kind of look at her reaction to that.
Scowl. What business would you have amongst those?
We're investigating the goings-ons of Spice Island, and it seems like a Cuban has taken up leadership there. I was hoping to find out more about this man, and that's why I'm visiting Outlast as well. One of the noble families here used to run Spice Islands, from what I've heard.
Yeah, you can see her immediately begin to prickle. And her back straightens more if it's even possible. She will say that, I am Padwick Tulwick.
Oh.
Representative of the Tulwick family here on the docks. We are the royal family that does rule the Spice Islands. They are our property, and only because we love our empress so much have we not already set foot upon the islands and rid them of the menace that is this newcomer. Are you supposed to be our replacement?
I am here to resolve the problem. So good news. The Empress has sought to fix this problem. She has not forgotten about you Tolwicks.
You are the replacement for rebellious people? What is your plan for dealing with these islands?
The first part is just gathering information.
She relaxes visibly at that.
This is a very sensitive subject, so we certainly don't want to damage the Spice Islands crops, which is why they've hired someone who is not bearing official Drekisian insignia and is not armed and is certainly not a soldier.
You're a spy. Excellent. She reaches out a hand to shake yours.
I don't correct her and I'll shake her hand.
She motions warmly and welcomely aboard the dock. How may we be of assistance in your clandestine endeavors?
Well, the more information you can tell me about the last time you were in contact with the Spice Islands and what happened after this Akuban went to take it over would help.
Of course, right this way. And bring your men if you so desire, she says. And we'll lead you down the docks, past the little harbor master's building, and towards a building on the other side of the big port area. It's got these nice stones, like the other ones that set into the hillside. Once you get past the front door, there's like a little courtyard with a fountain and some trees to provide shade. And then beyond that courtyard, there's like another room which is mostly inside the mountain itself. And in here, there's these like lovely pools of water that flow out of the wall, and just kind of, it's a nice, cool, calm, gentle, little quiet. I don't know what you would call it, like a. If you had like a sauna or a bathhouse, but instead of like being hot and stifling, it was like gentle and cool. That would be the vibe of this area. And in here, there will be some servants that arrive with some chilled drinks with ice still floating them. Ice is a very hard thing to get unless it's actively snowing outside. Ice is not easily stored without modern refrigeration. The harbor master tells you that she will have to pass you off to another person because she has duties on the shore, but she will get the Tolwick family member here to talk to you as soon as possible. And please make yourself at home for as long as you need.
So, try to bring it up with the proper etiquette, not to insult the harbor master, but comment, for a family of such wealth, you sure are working hard.
She smiles. Yes. Yes. It is our motto. We are the last ones out of a fight. We are always here to work. Far more than our beloved royal siblings and cousins.
Okay.
And we are going to meet a new person. Where is my character stat randomizer? Here we go. Oh, perfect. So, you're sitting in this comfortable place, you and Vordren. You've got like iced beverages, sliced kiwis, some grapes, cool breeze, plenty of water, fresh water, nice shade. When a
comment to Vordren, "This is the life, isn't it?" Vordren says back gruffly, "Too fancy for my taste."
Soon arriving is the shortest person, well, maybe not the shortest person you've ever seen, but a very short human. She stands at 4 feet 11 inches, weighing maybe 100 pounds or so, in her mid-30s. Real friendly smile on her face. She's got the fancy robes of the Tolwick family tied with a sash, looking like an administrator, like robes, not warrior outfit, and yet she still carries a rapier at her side. And she'll show up, give you a polite nod of the head, and then reach out a hand and say, "I hear you are Vincent on behalf of the Empress, here to help us resolve our island problems. I am Fasan Tolwick, the heir apparent to the Tolwick family, and here to make everything work out."
I bow as she enters and then shake her hand. And I am Vincent, sent by the Empress herself to help resolve this issue. Shall we get to business? I'd like a account on what has happened.
Yes. So, I'm not sure how much you know about the world and the region, but the Spice Islands are part of the Tolwick family property. Everything, well, she says everything west of the Great Horn Mountain and north of Darcis belongs to Outlast. That's our county seat. We are the Tolwick family, one of the principalities within the kingdom of Drekis, not to be confused with the Empire of Drekis, and run by cousins of the royal family. As you know, once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a terrible war between Koibu and Drekis, and unfortunately, my ancestors did not do a very good job of defending the kingdom, and once conquered, sided with the capitulated and worked with the invading Akuban army. And after the war was over, our city was stripped of its name, Tolwick, similar to Kershwick and Cronwick and Ralwick and Solwick. We lost our city name and were saddled with the burden of being Outlast. And ever since then, we have proven ourselves to be the most fearsome, most loyal, most devoted members of this kingdom. First in war, first on the field, last out of the field, always ready, and standing guard against our ancient enemies, the Akubans, who lie just across the sea. Our territories are all those that would be first sought in combat, including the Spice Islands. However, after the more recent war, our Empress, in her great majesty, saw fit to remove the Spice Islands from our jurisdiction and assign them to Coxport and Kershwick. Now, that has not fully materialized yet. There's a transition time, and we were helping transition things over to our Kershwickian cousins when word arrived that there was a rebellion and that we were to do nothing about it. She senses you're pausing and continues. The pirates of the shallow sea usually come from the Red Coast. We have launched many a raid against the villages there, slew plenty, taken captives from those we needed to. And yet, the raids persist. It is our opinion that these raids do not originate from the Red Coast. They are actually full-fledged Akuban army raids disguised as pillagers from the Red Coast. And as we were doing the best to put an end to these pirates and the end of this conflict, this warlock appeared. And the rest is history, I hope. Do you have more specific questions I could answer?
No, that brings me up to speed with the general going-ons of the Spice Islands. Have you encountered this warlock in any way?
No. The warlock is clearly a clever man. Had he arrived in Outlast, he would not have had time to deliver his message. He would have been plucked full of arrows and spears the moment his boat did not land on a pier. Only our beloved Kershwick cousins would be so lax in their security as to allow a warlock on their shore unimpeded. It is baffling how someone could be so... Are you saying
if a Kuban man were to land on the shore, you would just shoot him?
If docking procedures were not to be followed and someone were to make landfall immediately without signaling danger, we would presume it to be an enemy raid and react with force first and then ask questions later. Yes.
I see. My investigation might take me to Pikes Point. Do you have any pointers on what will not get me shot full of arrows there?
Follow the proper docking procedures, and I don't know, eat a dog in front of them or something. Let them know that you're one of them.
Let's see.
Do you speak the Akuban tongue?
I do.
Well, all I can tell you is that the diplomacy and aggression of the Akuban peoples is very much unlike our own. I'm sure you know. We like to be quite direct. When we say something, we mean something. Not so in Akuba. You say whatever you want the other person to hear and then secretly do whatever it is that you want to do in the background. If you have a problem with someone, you don't go and settle your score. You go talk to their opponent or enemy and pay off someone that they also have problems with to do your dirty work. And then you smile at them and say, oh no, I'm so sorry that your enemies are now well-funded and fighting you. They fight by proxy. They lie frequently. And they do not... They compartmentalize. They may be in a state of active war with you, but on the issues of sand trading or whatever it may be, they will continue to work. They are shadowy, slimy, treacherous, compartmentalizing, non-direct. They're snakes, essentially. Sand snakes.
Goodness, sounds terrifying. I'll keep that in mind.
But how may I help you with the Spice Island problem?
Can you tell me about your rule of the Spice Islands prior to the Warlocks' arrival? It appears they may have been damaged by a dragon.
Yes, during the Great War for Arcadia, Scoria, the Red Dragon, at a certain point in the war, began raiding and burning around. We sent ships to reinforce the Spice Islands from her minions, her raiders, her brigands, her wizards. But Scoria burned the fleet that we had, the small fleet that we had in the shallow sea. And we were forced to pull back, and she kind of motions outside to where all those ballista and catapults are and hold down the fort here. Unfortunately, the islanders had to stand for themselves. It is a great shame, but they were beyond help. And when we did try to aid them, thousands of us were lost in the process. We grieve for the fallen at sea and the fallen on land. When it was done, when the war was over, we made contact again. Did our best to aid in reconstruction and reestablish proper relations, although months, a year had passed.
I see. These Red Coast raids, have they been raiding the Spice Islands for a long time?
Off and on again throughout the centuries. Every now and then they rise up together, and every now and then we beat them back down and to submission, and they learn. But a few generations pass and someone gets it in their head again that it's easier to make a living stealing than working, and they need to be put back in their place. Red Coast is it's an unpleasant place. There's not much there. It's quite close to the Spice Islands. And yet, there are enough places of habitability that the Red Coasters continue to resettle and repopulate and spread out along.
In Drekisian tradition, then, let me be straightforward with you and say that it's possible that your mismanagement of the Spice Islands has led to its rebellion.
That's what rebels always say.
There are witness accounts that say that you may have. Well, tell me, how soon after the war did you start taxing these Spice Islands again?
We all pay our taxes on time every year. It's one of the things we pride ourselves on. There's no qualms, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And people who did not pay taxes for multiple years and who pay their taxes in goods just have them lying around. You can only eat so many chili peppers. You can only you can only grind so much nutmeg. So yes, when recontacted, back taxes were due, but supplies were restored. Food, clothing, building materials. And what we owe to them that had not been done in years was repaid as well. We'd also paid with the blood of our own, trying to protect them. And we keep them safe from raiders and have continued to do so even after the war. I am not unfamiliar with the complaints of the little people. They're always complaining. But no one likes to pay taxes, and yet we all do it. And we do not rebel. Do you pay your taxes, sir?
Of course, when proper services have been provided, which has been always, but from what I heard, they're getting raided by the Red Coast. Aren't you supposed to be providing protection?
We are. Have you heard otherwise? If you tell us that there are raids from the Red Coast, we will set forth immediately with spear and bow in hand. We spoil for a fight.
I see. Have the Spice Islands always been forthright in communicating with you this threat?
Certainly. They are always happy to lodge a complaint.
And when they lodge one, you respond immediately.
As quickly as ships can be dispatched.
I see.
Is that what
All
you've
right.
heard then? Have you spoken to the islanders and have they claimed that their rebellion is due to undue raids from the Red Coast that we have not dealt with? Is that their latest line?
They have. You say differently then, I take it?
I do. We are also quite busy. As we said, first in the war and last out of it. The best of my family died assaulting Scoria's lair. Our ships, our fleet, bravely sailed against a dragon and fought and fell. Our numbers thinned because of our eagerness. There have been setbacks, of course, and no action is ever fast enough. Travel time is slow. Things are never dealt with as quickly as anyone would ever like. But I'm sure you understand.
Of course. It's quite the task to administer islands that are so far away from... Had you ever thought about setting up a actual outpost there with soldiers?
Yes, and in the past that had been done. However, said outposts were destroyed in the war, and our numbers too thin to effectively man them. Instead, we sail along the Red Coast looking for signs of danger and preemptively striking. The problem with raiders is that any outpost you can create can be easily avoided. We put an outpost on the point in Redview, but a ship could simply go to Black Beach or Embershore or Western Island and ignore that outpost, which cannot respond as quickly as we would like. It's the problem with raiders, as they move in fast. You cannot defend every single village all the time. You have to strike the raiders at their home.
Let's see. I use my own knowledge for this, but is Western Island separate from the Spice Islands?
It is. It's not technically a spice island. They don't actually have much in the way of spice production. And from what you know, the Spice Islands, this box that I've put on the map right here, is now going to Kershwick, and Western Island is staying as part of Outlast.
Okay. I nod and say, well, I don't suppose you would have any advice for me. I plan to go to Embershore and meet this warlock.
I hear he's a Kuban.
I had noticed.
If you are a good spy, then this may be of help to you. A long-held secret of the Akubans in their capital of Sandashar is a method of tracking spellcasters by their blood. All wizards within the kingdom of Akuba are tagged and marked in some way unknown to me that allows the capital to find them at will. If this warlock is simply hiding behind that visage and is indeed a wizard, someone in Sandashar would be able to find him and know about him, and maybe be able to provide you logistical aid. However, I don't have any reason to suspect that the Kingdom of Akuba would aid a Drekisian. But if you have leverage or enough wealth, and this person is in rebellion, perhaps they will help. Or perhaps it will confirm that this warlock is actually an Akuban wizard, here to use their sneaky backdoor tactics of non-confrontational asymmetrical warfare. It would probably be a suicidal mission to head to Sandashar and seek information on this warlock. And the name, what was his name? Idria? Sounds Akuban to me, but perhaps that is a false name. Still, it is something worth knowing about.
Let's see. That was an excellent tip. Thank you. I will keep that in mind. If my meetings with the Akubans go well enough in Pikes Point, perhaps I will go to Sandashar. Not really planning on it at the moment, but who knows?
Do journey safely from Outlast to Pikes Point. The undersea creatures have become violent since the mid-war. Not so much in the area immediately around us, but on the coasts and further distances. Perhaps Pikes Point might be dangerous. Perhaps you must go closer to Talushar, but do watch out for the denizens beneath the waves. The followers of Nadinus.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Of
We
course.
will.
It's late in the day. Please rest. We will put you up in our finest hospitality, unless that would damage your cover. If you would like, I can have someone drag you off to a tavern and kick you down the street if that helps aid your whatever cover you are trying to establish.
No, I don't believe the Akubans are watching now, not with how much you've guarded the place. So we'll take your hospitality, and we'll set off for Pikes Point tomorrow.
Yep. She'll shake your hand, and she'll lead you to a nice little palace is maybe too strong of a word. Palazzo might be a better word, where you can rest and recover in fine luxury, with walls adorned with the swords and spears and shields of fallen enemies to remind you of the glory of the Tolwick family and how they're always here and always have your back. Yep. All right.
Good old Tolwicks.
Mm-hmm. The next day, if that's what your desire is.
I'll piece together a bit. It seems like the Tolwick family was on the wrong side of the war, right? She's mentioned they fought against Drekis.
Yeah, it was a war a few hundred years ago.
Oh, I see.
That was a surprise invasion of Akuba into Drekis hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
Which is what put them in trouble and has defined their family ever since. But in the most recent war for Arcadia, they were on the side of good, and they helped free the rest of the world from the evil Scoria.
Nice. They're kind of they're probably personally safe from Scoria, right? Seems pretty far west.
Outlast did not get destroyed, but that's probably because of their large defenses. The number of ballista here are quite high, and even a red dragon needs to be wary of like 50 ballista on the ground. Yeah.
So they actually dispatched a good amount of soldiers. That story matches up, and they lost thousands in the fight against Scoria.
Yeah. And when they say their soldiers, it's not just their family, right? It's all the people that live in their territory that get recruited. So, but yes, the family itself had plenty of knights that were sent and died. They're in good standing. Yeah, they have a sordid history, but like they're trustworthy.
Great.
Anything else before we head to Pikes Point?
Ready. I imagine the typical method would be to row across that deep water.
That's right.
Great.
Okay. We are now into December. Your ship can resupply as it goes. The deep water is a little bit more dangerous than the shallow sea. And you will find on the first day as you set out that there is a deep fog bank that you cannot escape. And your ship ends up sitting in the fog bank. You can't really sail because there's no wind. You can row, but it's hard to know which direction you're rowing in, and you don't want to like row into something or row way off course. And so the boat proceeds slowly, mostly being pulled by the tide, and you spend a day adrift, waiting for clear skies to know your direction. But it's only the one day, according to the dice. And the following day, Thursday, December 4th, you will arrive at Pikes Point. You actually have to go around to the backside.
Okay.
To get there. But easy peasy. This is an Akuban port. There are Akuban flags all over the place. You do speak the language. You do understand the culture well enough. Once upon a time, instead of having like the pyramidal structure of Drekis where there's like a king and then there's like lords, you actually have like maybe I think it's like 8 families that are each in charge of a different aspect of the empire. Like one's in charge of weapon construction and storage, one's in charge of like horses, one's blah 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 blah, and each of these have representatives all over the place. So you don't have like this family's in charge of the east, this family's in charge of the west. Each family is represented all over the kingdom and runs a specific section of the kingdom's empire.
Mm-hmm.
That was before the war. They've had a civil war. we're not really sure what's going on with them right now. But they do have like multiple royal families that each run separate sections. So there's like going to be a family in charge of the ports. Yeah. And that is, I think, all we need to know about Akuba for now. Right. Where is my document on the social structure of Akuba? Yeah, it should be commerce, the Stone Song family. They set the rules for trade in towns and cities. They collect fees, provide security, build marketplaces. No, I'm sorry. It's the Tezrohan family. They are in charge of shipbuilding, bridges, and road assessments and maintenance. They manage docks, and they collect fees. Their flag is yellow above, blue below, and a half sphere of red sitting on the blue, like a sun setting into the water. They are a human family, the Tezrohans. And so as you arrive, you'll see there's docks, and there's a bunch of flags all over the place representing these different 12 families, not 8. And the Tezrohan flag sits there on the dock as you are approaching. What would you like to do?
I asked the captain, is the standard etiquette still for the captain to speak with the dockmaster here in Akuba?
I suppose, but I don't speak Akuban. So
no worries, I'll take it.
Excellent.
Pull us in.
And in you go to the lovely little town of Pikes Point. It's got a wall around it. It's got a bunch of flags, as we said. It's got a bunch of Akuban vessels with their like weird semi-triangular. It's like a triangle with like a little bit of a dip in it. And they've got their armor and their spears, but no soldiers are coming to meet you at the dock. Just the regular old procedures where someone not a soldier, but a errand boy, I would say, runs up and asks for your captain's papers in Akuban. The captain, you can translate, and you'll give the papers, and the errand boy will run it back down the dock, and then they'll get some stamps and seals, and paperwork is done. The papers are handed back to you, and then you're permitted by this little errand boy to enter the city and do as you please.
Great. I will start off by visiting the market.
Yeah. Get off the boat, head down the dock. Is Vordren with you? Is he still just with the sword and no armor?
Yeah.
Yeah. You head down the dock, and as you walk down, you can tell that like everyone's looking over at you. I mean, everyone's always curious as you're walking through a town, but this is like all the looks. Like conversations are continuing, but people are just watching this Drekisian. You can tell by the clothing, by the ship that you arrived on. Just by your mannerisms in general, that you're of another nation. But no one stops you. You get to the end of the dock. There's a couple of guards there. They look you up and down, and you can head on into the marketplace. But Vordren will nudge you as you go and tell you that, one of these guards is following you as you go into the market. But that's fine. Someone's just walking around to you. It's not that big of a deal, I hope.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, oops, that's not the right one. Into the market we go, and boy, is the market a busy place here in Pikes Point. It's not the biggest city in the world, not the biggest town, but it is vibrant.
Yes, at the market, I'm on the lookout for two main things. One, I think it would be nice to look the parts. I'm looking for Cuban clothes too. I'm looking for spices.
Excellent. Spices, you say?
Yes.
Oh. You can tell me about the level of fashion you would like to attain here. Are you looking for peasant type of clothes, merchant level of clothes, fancy noble clothes, soldier clothes, workman clothes? What's the vibe?
I think two different pairs would be good. A commoner outfit and a noble outfit. A merchant outfit, so to say.
And is that one... What about Vordren? Is he just going to stay in the same Drekisian fare?
He will go in a soldier outfit.
Okay.
Like a mercenary outfit.
All right, so your common clothes you can get for 9 silver. Your merchant clothes you can get for 20 gold.
Oh.
And the soldier stuff is probably going to be 15 silver.
All right, I'll take a common clothes for me and a soldier clothes for Vordren.
24 silver.
Yes, hopefully Vordren has his own money and can pay for the soldier outfit.
I suppose he does have his own money. Shouldn't his employer cover his costs? You know what? You're probably good for it. You'll probably pay him back later. Yep. So he'll cover his clothing costs.
Nice. I'll take off. You said 9 silver, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I should say okay unless there's some tradition here to haggle.
No.
No, okay.
Yeah. Haggling is always more fun in theory, but what's hard without understanding the value of something to haggle. And it's always hard to haggle in D&D because value is so subjective.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah, well, you've got some clothes.
Would it still be obvious to tell that we're not a Cuban based on our skin color?
A little bit, but not a ton. Like, if you... Like, skin color differences between, like, Turks and Greeks. You know, if you're really paying attention and someone is, like, super Turkish, you'll be able to tell them apart from someone who's super Greek, but there's enough blending between the two over the generations that, like, you know, there's overlap. And if you wear the right clothes and you speak the language without an accent, people probably will not be too, not really notice. But, you know, if you have an accent or you have like weird mannerisms, foreign mannerisms, like you can kind of pinpoint someone from a different culture. You know, you can spot the European immigrant in white United States sometimes. Even if they're...
Would it be accurate to say that Vincent would have an accent? He probably hasn't had the opportunity to bust out as a Cuban that much.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So walking through the town, probably no one's going to notice you, but when you stop to talk to someone, they'll note that you have a Drekisian accent.
Sure. Well, after our clothes, I am on the lookout for spices.
All right.
And I'll ask around for them if I can't find them immediately.
Well, no, with this roll, you will, as you're just walking through the marketplace, you'll find a whole section dedicated to spices. There's these like baskets that spices have just been ground on top of, and there's a little machine that sits above it, or a little tool that sits above it where you can just grind the nutmeg from the actual nuts into proper powder, and they kind of form these like big cones, and someone will come around like scoop nutmeg out by a little thing that'll measure out an exact amount, a scoop, I suppose. There's nutmeg here, there's cloves here, there's chili flakes there, there's cinnamon over here. Like, yeah, there's some good spices around here. And I think the point that you're getting to is, yes, there's things here that you would say are traditionally Spice Islander located things. You can't only grow cinnamon there. Like, you could probably grow some cinnamon in Abankai or Talashar or something like that, but Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of spices to go around. And their prices are pretty good too.
See, I will go up to one of the larger spice stands that I find, and I'll try to strike the owner in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, such an excellent selection in a Cuban with a Drekisian accent. Uh, I would love to set a meeting with. Are you the owner or whoever sends these spices?
I'm sorry. I didn't follow that question at all. You'd like a
Oh,
meeting, but
I
you
would
would...
like to meet with whoever supplies these spices.
Well, I am the seller of these spices, and you are happy to meet with me right now.
Any chance I could speak with the supplier who supplies you, though?
So that you could go and buy them from my supplier instead of from me and undercut me out of the process? No, I don't think that's in my best business interest, but I admire your tenacity, sir. It's always best to cut out the middleman if you can, but hey, then how are we middlemen going to make a difference? But let me tell you, I am passing these off at a great price. There's so much here that I can barely move it all. So everything is currently 20% off its usual price, as you can see by the sign. And there's like a little sign with coins placed on it to let you know what the price per pound is.
Just out of sheer curiosity, do they use the same currency as our place?
They use copper, silver, gold, and iron as well. But like the coins are minted differently, but same interchangeable currencies.
Okay, I can just use the money here. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
How much would it be worth your while for me to get an introduction to your supplier?
Oh, well, that is an interesting question.
And don't worry, I won't be competing with you locally. How can I trust that you're not going to compete locally? How right? I have all sorts of people who come from far away to buy from me, and if you go set up shop in Sandashah or Unyaka or Aldir, you're not competing locally, but trade is global. You'll still be competing with me from afar. Maybe I
even...
laugh and I say, I'm sure you can tell from my accent that I won't be competing locally.
I see. Are there problems back in your home? Are you not in touch with your current producers?
We find ourselves lacking spices, so I need to find a new supplier.
I see. Well, how about this? If you buy in bulk, you can just deal with me. I will only mark up things 10% from what they're sold to me, and then if you buy in large enough bulk, I'll sell to you, and everyone is happy. Yes? 10% is not very much, and that way you don't have to deal with distribution or timings. You can just come to me, and everything is here. I wouldn't want to short my own supplies. We'll both make out like bandits.
You make a very tempting offer, friend. I think about it.
Please give them a sample, and he'll take a little pinch of nutmeg and sprinkle it in your hand. It's fine, fresh, rich. Don't eat too much. Too much nutmeg at one time makes you go mad. But in small doses, it's perfect. You should try it in your baked goods.
It was really more than spices, though. I suppose let me ask you a different thing. Do you know of anyone who might sell marble around here?
Yes, of course. Why didn't you say so? Marble's not my trade. I'm more than happy to set you in direction of a marble supplier for a small finder's fee.
Oh, certainly. Please, I would love to hear that. Now, what is your fee?
10 silver coins, and I'll put you in touch with the very best marble distributor in all of Pikes Point.
Just 10 silver. Such a deal.
I mean, marble makes hundreds of gold per transaction. This is just a taste.
Yes, sure. I'll hand over the 1 gold.
Okay. Now, as you know, the world has been in chaos, and our newest marble dealer, he's a young man, not even 30 yet, but he still is quite good at everything he does. His name is Samir Salop.
I nod and say, now you're not just pushing me onto any old marble merchant, right? You said he's young. I was hoping for someone who's been in the business for a while, someone who can supply a good amount of marble, of high quality marble.
Yes, Samir's your man. He's only young because his father, who used to run the business before him, was executed during the war. Not for anything wrong, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time and being forced to... You understand how civil wars have a habit of killing innocent people. But Samir's taken over his father's job, has acquired all of the contracts, and can get the very finest in marble, which does come from the hills and sands outside of Pikes Point.
Oh, excellent. Please direct me to Samir then.
Yeah. He'll give you very good directions, like exquisite. You got to go down this street. You're going to see this building. It's got this sign. The street is labeled this thing. You're going to take a left, and then it's the third door. You'll note that it's got like a weird square block written to the side of it. Perfect directions to Samir, not to their like marketplace vendor, but to their like headquarters in their office.
Great.
Yep. And then the spice dealer will shake your hand, let you know if you ever need any more spices, if you ever need any trade, if you ever want to do some good business, he'll give you a fantastic price because he's got so much stuff, he just can't sell it fast enough.
Thank you. I will keep you in mind.
Excellent. And off he goes. Yeah. You can move through the city streets following this guy's directions. Are you concerned at all that you're walking into a trap? Doesn't sound like it. All right.
Medium?
Cool.
I mean, no, not really.
Yeah. It's fine.
Is this another session 1 death? Go ahead.
Yeah, you walk through the marketplace, you leave to the quiet section of town, you go down the 3 streets like he said, you take a left into this area, the streets become a lot more quiet, you're away from the market, the tall buildings provide plenty of shade from the sun. It's also December now, late autumn, so like it's not that hot out here. Pikes Point is a pretty warm area in general. And sure enough, there's a door. It's just a regular old wooden door with an actual glass window in the top so people can look out or look in. It's got the little square marked on the side of it. But you are in kind of a small alley. Alley is too strong of a word. A small street without much other foot traffic on it.
You'd expect a marble HQ to be more fancy than this, right? Shrug?
I mean, I don't know what to expect. I've never bought marble.
Well, a business office. You mentioned this glass window, so like,
yeah,
you'd probably be able to see through and see the excellent marble.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to put your face to it and cup your hands around the glass, because it's darker inside than outside, then you would be able to see in and see what you can see.
Sure, I'll take a look through the window.
Yeah, you're a tall man. I think you're like 6 feet tall, right, Vincent?
Let me double check. That sounded right.
Yeah. So it's not a problem for you to gaze through this window. Glass is a kind of a rare thing around here. And you can look on inside, and you can see that there's a large room with a bunch of big tables here, and there's 3 folks seated around one of these tables. One young woman and 2 middle-aged women around these tables. They seem to be playing a game of cards. But you do spot... Well, actually, give me a perception check as you peer in through the window. I'm assuming you're not, like, staring through the window for 10 minutes at a time, but a quick glance and surveying.
Here you go.
Yeah, you see these people, you see the table, there's some paperwork nearby. It could be the atrium of an office.
Cool, I'll knock the door.
Yeah. The door will open. One of the middle-aged women will answer in classic Akuban, just being like, hello. She'll look you up and down. She'll look to Vordren with the sword.
Yes.
She'll look to
hello,
you.
I am looking for Samir.
Of course. Please come in. She steps back, opens the door, and motions inside.
Yes, I'll head on in.
This is a great moment, now that we're committed, to ask you, where's the mithril? Did you leave the mithril on the boat? Did you take it with you? Is it in your backpack? Is it at your side? Where is the precious 150?
It's in the ship. I left. I did take 1 sample coin, though.
Okay. 1 sample coin. Excellent. You step on in. It's cool. It's dark. The only light is coming in through a couple of windows in the area that are like seated up pretty high on the walls. The people, set their cards down and watch. The woman says he's here to see Samir. Have a seat. I'll go fetch him. And you can sit at the table with the other 2 women as the one heads off inside.
Yeah, I'll idly chat with the woman. How's business?
Good. How's yours?
Good. Always looking for more opportunity.
Can I get you some wine?
Oh, excellent. Sure.
They'll pour you a glass. What do you have Vordren do? Is he sitting? Is he drinking? Is he standing guard?
He's standing guard, pretty much. Okay. What do you 2 do here? I ask.
Security, they say.
Oh. At that answer, I take a closer eye at them and see if they're armed, or what security means here.
Yeah. Well, you'll notice that each of them does have a dagger at their side. And as you look around, you'll see that against the wall where the door is, there are some swords that are just like mounted on the walls. So you couldn't see them looking in through the window, but if you were wanted to get to the door, you could easily grab a sword, no problem. Yeah, but otherwise it's, a room with plenty of space and some tables and chairs and just these 3 supposed security guards.
Yeah, definitely need security for all these spices you're moving, right?
What spices? We deal in marble.
Oh, I meant marble. Yes, of course.
Ah, well, anytime there's money, there's danger. And they just kind of stop their game and give you all of their attention.
Yep, I'll just... When the wine comes, I will sip at it, and Vordren will just keep watch. He says, none for me, thanks.
Yeah, pretty soon, Samir arrives. And just like they said, he's a youngish guy, 26, 27 years old, 5'10", 160 pounds. He's got long black hair that's just kind of like not ruggedly, like casually swept off to the side and not like tied back or anything, but just comes off one side of his head and dangles down to the other. He's got these really loose linen robes that are tied with a single little rope around his waist. He's got, nice sandals that don't make too much noise as he walks. They're not like flipping and flopping all over the place. And he comes down and he looks around and says, "Guest, you have treated my guest so poorly, sir. I'm Samir. I hear you've come to me specifically, that you've come from far away."
I have. I have come seeking the best marble, and I hear you might be the man for that.
Of course. How did you get my name?
I got it from a friendly merchant in the market square.
Who can I thank for this business recommendation?
Yeah, do I remember if he introduced himself?
I don't think we discussed his name, but you could have gotten it. Yeah.
The spice merchant, I answered.
Of course. I'll have to send him a gift to thank him. Well, stranger from afar, please have your men wait here. Let's go inside and speak. I'm sure he has more in common with my ladies than with me.
Sure. Please enjoy the company of these ladies, Vordren, and I'll go with him.
All right. Inside, in this guy's office, which is on the 3rd floor with glass windows that look out over the other buildings nearby with a nice view of the city and the coast and the docks and the ocean and the clouds with plenty of natural light and this nice mahogany table and like nice carefully made rugs all over the place. They'll have you sit down. The mahogany table has a couple of slabs of marble on it. One's a white marble, one's a black marble, one's a red marble.
Such marvelous marble, I say as I come into his room.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's hard to come by, but we have excellent and skilled laborers, and we are not too far from where it can be found, as long as you can keep the sand at bay. Tell me, before we get too close to business, are you authorized to trade here with us? As I understand it, the Crown of Drekis not so happy with the flow of goods.
I have a special permission to do so. I'll pull out the contract. And I assume that you have permission to trade with Drekis.
Of course, no one here in Akuba's declined with whom they may do business. Everyone is open. There's no such restrictions. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But he takes a look at this and notes Lionel Imports. I've heard of this company.
Yes, we deal in a few other cities.
Excellent. Well, tell me, what would you like?
Did I get a sense of how much marble Marshall wanted?
He just wanted, to be in contact with a reputable trader. He didn't specifically want marble right now. He's probably got his own designs for that. Yeah. The goods he wanted were papyrus, gum arabic, and pine nuts. Yeah.
Yep. I'm writing that down real quick. The other goods, sure. And well, I think I can trust you with this sample. I reach into my pocket and pull out the mithril coin, and I plunk it down on his desk. I think that we can form quite a lucrative trade.
May I? He says before touching the coin. I'll pick it up, turn it over a couple of times, kind of smell it, put it in his teeth and try and, bite at it a little bit. Give it a small licking, like just, sampling flavors and textures and whatnot. And then from underneath his table, he'll pull out a set of scales and weights, and he'll put the mithril coin on one side and he'll put a weight, and he'll just kind of keep tacking on weights until the scales even. He'll take the weights off and he'll just pull out a coin from a pocket and set it, and the scales will even. He'll put the scales away and leave the mithril coin on the table. Sir, you have my utmost attention.
And you have ours. I'm sure you know how rare marble is in Drekis, and we know how rare mithril is in Akuba.
Yes.
So, seems like a great match.
Fantastic match. And you have special permission for this. As long as the mithril comes in on your end, we will be happy to supply as much marble as you need.
Excellent. I suppose as the coin is yours, my friend. Could you, as a grand start to our relationship, could you also let us know a bit about who I can talk to about this, the wonderful spices you have in this city?
Well, they're foreign born, I know, coming from the east. While I enjoy good spice as much as the next man, it's not my particular trade. If you're here in town, I can have my people ask around. I would like to make sure we're all happy with one another and working in harmony together. Where are you staying? I will find this information for you and bring it to you.
We hadn't found a place yet. Do you have a recommendation?
Well, I would recommend the Blue Oasis, of course. It's a comfortable little inn off the main road. Not very many rooms. Nice and quiet. Nice and cool. A way to travel in comfort without too much attention. If that's your liking. If you'd like something noisier, I can make a recommendation.
No, fantastic. That'll do.
Excellent. Tell me, how many more of these, and he taps your coin, are available?
I think about the price of marble, in terms of like how much we'd want to ship. Did I get any sense of like how much gold worth of marble Marshall wanted?
No, I think you got the impression that he didn't think that you could manage a transaction like this. And so he was just like, I'll deal with it once you get me the contacts. But you don't know what color he wants or the volume he wants. The marble you would buy by the foot, by the linear foot. And then you'd want like specific colors probably. If he's building a palace, he's going to want to choose blah, 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 blah. So the answer is I think you're not sure.
Do I get the sense that it would be in the thousands of gold to have asked for something like this?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be doing... Marble's notoriously expensive. There's not a lot of places where it comes from. It's very nice. It's heavy.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Answer, I have the employer that I work with has hundreds of these.
Well. Do you have a specific order ready?
No, we are just in the initial planning stages.
You must be seeking out other distributors as well.
Certainly, we have to compare quality and such.
Well, why don't I give you some samples? You can compare and contrast, and when you decide inevitably that my samples and prices are the best around, accounting for increased travel distance and cost and the friendliness of Pikes Point as compared to Sandashar or Akbankai, I'm sure you'll come right back and pay Samir a visit. Please. And he asks you to wait for a moment. He heads into a back room and comes out with a box. A nice little box that has some felt in it, and there's a bunch of different marble colors and samples, more than the 3 that are out here. Some of them are not very well polished, some of them are highly polished. and he has got like little price tags pasted on each one of them, so you can get an understanding of what the cost per foot would be on all of these things. And he brings you the box, and it latches together, and you don't need a key to unlock it. You just gotta like press the two sides, and the top flips open. Take this sample, compare to the others. If you're happy with the prices, we can do business. It is important, I think, to understand. Working relationship here is complicated. Careful. It must be done quite right. We in Akuba, it's offensive to us if you mix and match businesses. Do you understand?
Of course, I speak your tongue. I know of your customs.
We would like to work with someone that when you display our product and you are asked, where did you get this? You can say, it's Samir's marble. We don't want to be working with someone where you say, oh, well, this is from Samir, and this is from Vusani, and this is from Jasmine. We want Samir's marble to be prominent.
Would it be fine if, as you know, there is not much trade between Drekis and Akuba? Would you be fine with the marble simply being stated as, it is marble? I believe we are not really trying to... most of the people from Drekis would not be able to purchase from you anyways, I'm afraid. So such advertisement would do no good.
Of course. To those who could deal in such things, the brand name is important to us. We obviously, oh, this is marble. We got it from somewhere. To the common person, to the taxman, to the envoy of the empress. But to the fellow who wishes a palace made, marble from Pikes Point, marble from Samir. These brands are important, personally.
Yes, we can do that for you.
Splendid. Well, let us drink to health. And he will produce some more wine, pour it in a cup, produce a document that says, that has his family's name on it, which was Salop across the front of it. It says marble across the front of it, and it has some pictures of marbles and some notes on prices and measurements again, without the actual samples with it. It's got some fancy scrawlings, and on the bottom, he will write, he'll sign his name, and he'll write your name as the person that he did business with. And he will stamp it and seal it with his own stamp and seal. And he'll say, this can go to your employer. It's important that all business transactions are honest. We don't deal with unreputable middlemen. And you and I are just getting to know ourselves and each other. We'd like some more time to foster this before we get in trouble with someone that we don't want any undue attention. We don't want any cause for alarm. But if your master will take this and return with a similar document, and we get some FaceTime with someone of importance, I'm sure all can be done.
Thank you. I am personally very impressed by him. Does Vincent, with all of his bureaucratic and administrative knowledge, is he impressed?
So technically, yes. He is covering his bases. He's making sure that he's not getting himself into any trouble. You're not he's not just offloading a bunch of marble to you for promises of gold, and he's not quickly signing on to some lucrative deal without, investigating it a little bit. So technically speaking, he's doing all the things right, but he's also very clearly trying to work around Drekisian laws and get things to where they need to go. So legally, he's a shady motherfucker, but technically, he's like proficient in business and on top of his shit.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah. Maybe we grow extremely rich together. I give him a toast.
May we grow very rich together. He toasts back to you. And then make some nice small talk. Like, do you have any mithril gear? Where are you from? Let me just get to know you a little bit. Tell me about, your hometown. Oh, you're from Withron Renta? Like, what's the city like? We've heard so much about it. You're near a mountain. We don't have big mountains around here. Akuba's a pretty flat area. I mean, there's hills, but there's no tall mountains anywhere. Lots of...
Yes. I'll
personal.
Similarly small talk, and I'll slip in a few things that I was also looking here. You seem like a merchant with great knowledge. I'm also looking to shop for these things, if he has any pointers, and as well as, of course, the person in charge of getting these spices over here.
He will definitely get you the name of someone of where these spices are being, someone who is helping to distribute these things. And he tells you that, he deals in marble, but he can also help you if you don't want to navigate the markets yourself, gather the papyrus, gum arabic, and pine nuts if you so desire.
Yeah, since it's in such bulk, I'm not sure the market would be the right place to look for these.
Perfect. Yep. He is happy to help you with all of these things. Do you want to spend all of your existing mithril on the things, on these, papyrus, gum arabic, and pine nuts?
Would I be overspending, underspending, or like equally spending with exactly this?
Well,
I have any mithril left over, I should say, under normal circumstances.
It all depends on the quantity. Like, you could spend all your mithril and purchase as much of this as you can, or you could spend part of it, or...
Do I get the feeling that Marshall wanted more of it if I could buy it, or if I want, or if he would prefer to have more mithril coin left over?
He gave you money to spend.
Okay.
But he also gave you an accountant to watch you spend it. I think we left the accountant back on the boat.
Yes, I guess my question is, would he prefer if there were coin left over? Does he want more of the stuff that he's ordering, or would he prefer to have coin left over?
No, he wants as much as he can get his hands on.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Then, yes, we're looking to spend all
Excellent.
the mithril.
Do you feel that you need to go get Bronco to observe this transaction, or are we just going to leave Bronco on the boat?
That's what he's here for. We'll get Bronco.
Okay, great. Everything's on the up and up. There's nothing sketchy happening whatsoever. It takes a little longer. You get Bronco. You explain who he is. You find Vordran downstairs. He doesn't speak Akuban, so, he's just downstairs. And there's these three guards down there, and they're just chatting away in Akuban, and Vordran's just kind of standing with the eyes on the staircase that you went to, and he looks relieved when you come back down. Yeah, we could just hand wave the rest of this. You can go through Samir to buy these things, and he will get you a slightly better price than you were expecting to pay for these. You were expecting like 150 gold for a ream of papyrus, but he'll get it for you for 130 gold. And you're expecting maybe 60 gold for a barrel of gum arabic. He gets it to you for 55 gold. The pine nuts are still a gold a pound, as expected. So you get a slightly better deal, and he'll take all your mithril.
Nice.
Excellent. And then they'll load up all the goods on your boat, which is now heavily laden with the sorts of things that you just can't find in Drekis.
Very good. And I guess the only thing else that I was looking for is the spice merchant or the spice distributor.
Right. So we're going to say that it's going to take 2 days here in Pikes Point to get all of these things. Yeah. There's a merchant who buys wholesale and sells wholesale in Pikes Point, or he buys directly from the manufacturers and sells wholesale in Pikes Point. The merchant's name is, I need to check my notes. Is Biko, Biko Stone Song. And you would know that the Stone Song is one of the royal families, one of the dwarven royal families in charge of commerce. It's not just some random trader. It is one of the 12 important noble families here.
I realize also that I should keep one mithril coin for if there's an important negotiation, so
That's
I'll spend all but one.
Okay, done.
Great. Yeah, Pico seems like the type of guy to talk to.
He would live in his family's palace here in Pikes Point. I'm getting to talk to a member of the royal family like this. It would be very difficult for someone of your stature, some of your position. You can't just go talk to the governor or go talk to the mayor without cause. They're busy people. They don't just take meetings with whoever. So, do you want to meet with him? Do you just want to know his name? What are you going to do with this information?
Maybe someone lower down the chain then.
Can you tell me more about that?
Would there be someone between him and the merchant at the market that I talked to?
Biko probably has minions who do the actual deliveries and labors, and Samir will tell you that, like, well, if Biko is the person you're looking for, he's the head of the merchant family. I have to pay him taxes. I know the administrators, the stewards of his family business. What sort of person would you like to talk to? Like, what is the nature of your relationship that you wish to have, so that I can recommend a contact?
When I really think about it, I perhaps don't even need to talk to one of them. I only need basic information of, did spices only start coming here recently?
Says Samir. Well, I can say with some certainty that the war for Arcadia, same time as the Drekis Kuban Civil War, was devastating for the world at large. But in this one microcosm, there was flourishing during that time. During the Civil War and your war against Mystria, supplies of these things showed up and just became a little more available. Maybe 5-6 years ago. And since then, the trickle has turned into a surge.
Okay. Especially a few months ago?
Yes. Well, no. Maybe 2 years ago, it reached peak. It's hard to, I'm not deeply involved in these things, but couple years ago, I would say things leveled off.
Okay. Samir, we're good friends by now, so I suppose I will just ask you, do you know how I might be able to find information about an Akuban wizard?
My, you're not just here for any old marble trade. Is the marble really what we're here for, or are you here for magic? You say we're friends.
The marble is the main reason for my visit, but I am also, as someone of a wizardy background, I have a second task, which is to find a wizard, an Akuban wizard.
Yes. Yes. Who is this wizard?
I think back about kind of to Drekis and just kind of wizarding in general.
Yes.
Are wizards recognizable by name, or are there so many that it's not really?
Locally, generally, like if you're in a town and there's like a wizard in that town, everyone's gonna know that wizard's name, right? But if there's a wizard in one town and you're like 10 towns over, people aren't gonna know that the wizard's name from 10 towns over, right? They are very rare, but the world's big enough, and your general person just doesn't know much about the world around them. So, I don't know. Did that answer your question? Can it be more clear? Okay.
It did. So I'll take my chances on this here and just ask. I'm looking for one Idrea. Does that name ring a bell?
Give me a charisma check to see if you can read his face, if he's lying or telling the truth, because this is kind of an important moment here.
Yep.
He pauses and he says, Idrea. I know someone by the name Idrea, but no wizard for certain. He was a young boy. Do you think he's being suspicious? You rolled a 17?
Yeah, I'll ask him, this Idrea. I give him a bit of a description. I know that he has scales that would set him apart, so very distinctive.
No, definitely no. A man with scales?
Just a little bit on his head and
oh,
on his neck
just a little bit of scales. Okay,
yes,
well,
yes.
No, of course not. What man wears scales? You don't mean, this is not a language thing, right? You don't mean armor of scales.
No.
You mean skin of scales.
Yeah.
A fish man.
Yeah. Or dragon man. Golden scales, or bronze scales, I think it was described as.
Dragon man. There is an island not far from here. It is called Sleeping Dragon Island because it looks like a dragon curled up on itself that sleeps. Legend has it, people who worship dragons gather there and make their home, but it's a backwater of little value, no significant resources, difficult tides, hard to get to, it sits near the mouth of the bay and does not much good.
Probably just a coincidence. But it's not in a Kuban fashion to have your tongue forked, is it?
Certainly not. There's barbaric rumors and lies.
This wizard, he has that feature as well.
A forked tongue and scales.
A forked tongue. The scales could potentially be, let's see, was he described as like bald or like had hair and could see?
Had thinning hair.
Okay. The scales should be viewable through his thinning hair. But yes, it's possible you just haven't heard of this.
Well, a man like that would be noted from far and wide. a man who looks like that would be certainly known by anyone. If he'd set foot in this town, he would be the talk of the town. I mean, he would probably be arrested and thrown in jail or questioned or pulled up by the authorities. This is most peculiar.
Indeed. Well, that's good to know that he hasn't been here, I suppose. I've heard that if I wanted to learn about a wizard, that I could travel to the capital. I don't suppose you would know anything about that.
He shakes his head. No. They would not. No.
No, as in they don't know how to, or no, as in they wouldn't tell me?
They would not share with you. No,
Of course, that's what I thought.
Yeah. What has this man done? Why is he of interest to you?
Oh, he runs the Spice Islands now.
Ah, it's all coming together. Akuba has an influx of precious tasties. Man with dragon scales seems to be in charge of islands. You think that he might be a Cuban. These are harmful stereotypes, sir.
Oh, he had an Cuban accent.
Ah, well. You are a man of magic. You are familiar with the spell Alter Self. Yes. You cast a spell, you change your appearance. You make yourself big, tall, thin, fat, change color of hair. Maybe this wizard shows up with magic, change the way he look, make himself look ferocious and mean to scare people off, but is actually regular wizard.
Oh, that makes sense. Hard to fake in a Cuban accent, though, I imagine.
Well...
Maybe not?
He shrugs. Maybe he is a Cuban. If, you said human, though, yes?
Yeah.
Stone Song family is dwarven. They could hire a human wizard, but that would be unlikely. That would require the Shazar family to be in charge. Shazar family runs the magic in Akuba. They keep tabs on all the spellcasters in the kingdom, and they make sure no unregistered wizards are around. You should leave before you must be registered, of course.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I believe Moke is still the head of the family.
What a shame. There's no way an outsider like me would ever get to hold an audience with him and find out.
He, picks up that Myrtle coin that he's been carrying around ever since you first gave it to him. He holds it in front of you. For enough of these, maybe. This is maybe the only thing he would care about. But if you ask around and this man is working for the Shazar family, you will just disappear. If he's an enemy of the Shazar family and you carry these, maybe he helps you. But it becomes very dangerous. You understand?
I understand. You clearly know. You are a very wise man. I'm glad I met you for all of my marble dealing.
Well, life is dangerous. You must keep on your feet, or else you have no more feet.
A wise saying.
Okay.
Well then, we've done a lot of good trade. We have made many new friends, and I'm looking forward to Special Samir's marble showing up soon in Drekis.
Excellent. You give your master our regards, and I have a gift for you. And he'll produce another box. And this one is this like beautiful curved dagger with this nice little bronze case that has a couple of like semi-precious gemstones inlaid in it, and an ivory handle with like a little tusk coming off the back of it. Really nice, really decorative, fabulous. In theory, it would still be sharp enough to use in combat, but you wouldn't want to damage it. Please give this to your Lionel Imports and Exports master.
You are so generous. Thank you. We'll treasure it.
Excellent. And I think with that, we can leave Pikes Point. You've been staying in the Blue Oasis, which is nice and kind of out of behind the scenes and kind of a low-lying place. Would you have Vordrin make me a perception check and a charisma check for me?
Sure. Vordrin, perception, and
oh my
charisma.
God. Oh my God, Vordrin's so
go
good.
Vordrin.
So yeah, he will be letting you know the entire time that you are definitely being followed through town, that there, at first it was just a guard who watched you walk around, but then after that, there has been a pair of people who have been more or less following you. And sometimes it's just one, sometimes it's both, sometimes it's the other, but keeping an eye on specifically your movements through town and kind of walking and following from a dozen people back. With those rolls, he will tell you that you've been followed every single day, wherever you go. And he is kept, those are incredible rolls. He's been watching them, and he's let you know that he doesn't feel like you're in danger. They don't have the vibe of we're gonna, jump you in the street, but more the vibe of like someone is interested in your doings and wants to know exactly who you're dealing with and who you're talking to and where you're going and what you're doing. Do you want to do anything about this before you head out?
I do.
Okay.
I wanted to talk to Samir and say, Samir, my friend, I am afraid to tell you that my movements seem like they have been followed by some guards. Hopefully they do not cause you trouble.
It's a dangerous world. You make money. There's always trouble. You cannot gain anything in life without a little risk. Samir Salop will handle anything on my end. But if you come back to Pikes Point and I am no longer here and my head is on a spike out front of the gates, you should not come back.
Let us hope that does not happen, Samir. You are a good man. Goodbye.
Goodbye. All right. Excellent. Well, we can hop back on our boat, and where to? All the way back home?
I was curious if I should visit Outlast again, just because it seems like those Spice Islands people have been trading with the Akubans, which I imagine would be very against the will of Drekis.
Super against the will of Drekis. Oh my God.
Yeah, this might warrant another visit to Outlast.
All right.
It's in the way.
Well, to Outlast we will go, and I think you got a little time. I was going to put it off till tomorrow because we're just our next session because we're past our ending point, but I don't know what your schedule's like. This is probably only 20 minutes.
Yeah, I got time. This will probably be quick.
Excellent. Yeah. Back to Outlast we go. It's another... How does the weather fare in the crossing? Actually, it's a lot less favorable. You get some unfortunate winds that keep trying to blow you southward. And if we look at the map, you try to get, across this area to Outlast, but the wind keeps shoving you this way. So your boat ends up like going way too far down and then having to row against the current all the way up to Outlast. So it's going to take you 3 days to get there. You'll get there on Sunday the 7th, the day of tall corn, and the day that Terran sets in the sky. This is the harvest festival day. So as you arrive in Outlast, it is a bit of a party, actually. This is like the equivalent of Thanksgiving in the area, where all the harvest should have been done by now, and there should be festivals and feasting. So as you pull into the harbor master will greet you again. She'll recognize you and let you in very quickly. But the town and the streets themselves are filled with... where is the... here we go. Are filled with celebration, with music, with public pies, and, a big old potluck all throughout town.
Wow. Rare to see this place in such high spirits, I comment, as get off the ship and make my way back up to that noble.
Yes. We wanted to speak to... I have it written down over here. Rise of Drekis, Chapter 5. Fasan Tolwick.
That's the lady, Fasan Tolwick?
Yes, it is. The short woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You will find the Tolwick house is also participating in the celebration today. And they've got their own fancy feast going on at their house where anyone is allowed to come in and meet with the Tolwicks, shake some hands, get some gifts, and have some delicious high-quality food. And you can, join on in, walk into the house. There's the whole Tolwick family there. Fasan's like the up-and-coming person. Her, I think, grandfather or something like that is the person who's actually the head of the family, and he's sitting at the head of the table, and there's food laid around, and Fasan's right next to him, and you can come and say hello or whatever you would like. But it's going to be in a very public, celebratory atmosphere.
Yeah, I'll go up to Fasan and say, so good to see you again. I'm here to join in the festivities, and when things quiet down a little bit, I'd love to talk to you more.
Many blessings to you, Vincent. Shall we speak tomorrow? It would be ill luck to do business on a day of celebration.
Of course, tomorrow it is then.
All right. Okay, well, the next day, in the nice, cool, acclimated environment of that underground, gentle, spa-like setting, you can meet.
Did you know that the Cubans have been getting a surprisingly large amount of spices?
Excuse me?
I don't know where they possibly could have gotten these, other than the Spice Islands. I'll just continue on.
Are you saying, sir, that the islanders are not only in rebellion, but that their underpayment of taxes this whole time has been a factor of trading, selling, paying taxes perhaps to the Akuban kingdom?
That appears to be the case, yes.
Do you understand that if what you're saying is true, this is treason by the islanders?
That would appear to be so.
And we understand that treason of this caliber is a capital offense.
What would you propose? Going in there and slaughtering all the islanders?
No. Treason is not dealt with by my family. Treason is a matter for the Empress. It would be her decisions on what to do. And if I understand the Empress, and I think I do, she's a pragmatic woman. You cannot simply slaughter all the people in the Spice Isles. That's not good for the Empire. It's not good for trade. It's not good for anyone. But making an example of some of them might be. On the other hand, if this is not done willingly, if this is under the influence of some outside power. The Tolbuk family is familiar with what it's like to be forced to work for an Akuban. We understand that is not without redemption.
Yes, it is also possible that the Akubans are forcing the Spice Islanders to supply spices. I have not fully investigated yet.
These are grave accusations, and if they are what you say they are, or what it seems to be, this is cause for war.
That's cause for war.
Taking land, taking resources for themselves. It is a very Akuban way of conquest. This would be tantamount to Akuba occupying and harvesting the resources of Drekisian territory. If that's not war, I don't know what is.
That would be if the man running the islands was working with the Akubans, which he may not be.
He has an Akuban accent and he supplies spices to the Akubans and not to the Drekisians? And he threatens to burn the islands if...
It seemed like the shipments were going out before he took over that.
Certainly more information needs to be gained then.
Yes, so that is the initial findings I figured you would like to know.
I would.
And I figured perhaps on hearing this you might know more.
I know that the distances around the Western Island are not great, and that she remembers in her brain it's only 4 miles on one side and 10 miles on the other, and that such a distance can be consistently watched by a small group of ships, and if anyone sails through this area, they can be interdicted. But if many ships sail these passages every day, it would take a small fleet to watch every ship that comes in and stop it and board it and search it.
Wouldn't it have been obvious to see the Spice Islands send ships to the Akubans? Or vice versa?
Dozens of ships every day pass in and out of the shallow sea. Well, maybe not dozens, but many ships pass frequently. To know where a ship is going, they either must tell you or you must follow them. You can't follow every single ship everywhere they go.
Surely there haven't been any reported sightings of Akuban ships at the Spice Islands.
No, but you cannot patrol every area, and you can hire foreigners. Certainly there are traders within our own ranks who would pose as honest Drekisian merchants, but in actuality be doing illegal business with the Akubans.
I see. Well, I'll have to visit Embershore itself to find out, I suppose.
There are always those who try to profit off of war. Someone whose loyalties are to money instead of to the crown. Good luck in finding these people and ridding us of them.
Yes. It would appear that, on my initial instinct, it would appear that they are to blame, not the Islanders.
I think you are kind and soft-hearted. You are, in my opinion, jumping to favorable conclusions. Maybe you have not spent enough time with the common man.
I don't correct her.
All right. She thanks you for the information and lets you go. How do we feel about these concerns?
It's interesting. It's hard to say who the bad guy is right now. Is
what?
it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is it her and her family for bad administration of the Spice Islands? Is it an Akuban plant? Is it just some rogue warlock who's out there?
Are those our current threats? Potentials? What about a dastardly merchant who would illegally trade with the Akubans? Is that a possibility that the man that you work
definitely
for?
A possibility, yes. Some merchants have been, then after picking up the spices, been sending them to Akuba rather than to Drekis.
Well, who would do that? Why would you do that?
Probably for lots of money.
Ah, yes, that would be the right answer. Yes. Indeed. All right. Well, we will find out more about all of this, hopefully, next time on Rise of Drekis Chapter 5. And that would be next week?
Yep.
Assuming that all scheduling works out. We will see you next Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific for Rise of Drekis Chapter 5. Bye.